What's going on, everybody? It is your humble live stream host, Tim, back with another video. Today's going to be a good one. Today is going to be a good one. And it's one that I know that there will probably be a lot of people who disagree with me about it, but it's something I've been wanting to talk about for a while. Anyone who kind of knows my story knows this about me. But the times that we're currently in and the things that we're going through in the world, I thought this would be a really great time to have a live stream on this topic, talk about this, and just share some of my views, get some other people's views. But I just really wanted to talk about the ideal of this being a good time to live with less. Okay? I think the time periods we're living in now is a really good time to get comfortable and to embrace living with less. A lot of people know the saying where they say that the powers that be, they're always saying you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. Okay, like that's what their goal is for us. Those of us who aren't, the powers that be, who aren't in the 1%, who aren't the people who rule the world. People are always saying that they even admit it themselves that they just wanted us to own nothing and be happy. And I know when people say that, they're like, you'll own nothing and you'll just have to deal with it. You'll be happy with it. But whenever I hear that saying, I'm always personally like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, if I own nothing and I'm still happy, well, I'm fine with that because I'm happy. And that was really the hearing that over and over again and people commenting it is what really got me wanting to talk about this. Because, like, for so many of us, we believe that, like, our possessions are very important. And we base kind of like who we are and our self-worth on possessions. So for the average person, if you tell them that they would have almost nothing or very little, that would be a bad thing. They would feel like they were failing in life, something's wrong, and they would think that they couldn't possibly be happy. But I just like to weigh in on the other side of the spectrum as someone who owns almost nothing. Y'all know me, I'm two suitcase Timmy. My possessions fit in two suitcases, and I got like one box of like paperwork and stuff somebody's holding for me. Other than that, I own like nothing. And I like to think I'm a pretty happy person. And while I don't think the average person wants to live that extreme, and I don't think you have to live that extreme, that level of lack of possessions works for me. But I do think it is good to talk about the fact that you aren't your possessions. The fact that you can live an enjoyable life without having a lot of stuff. In fact, like the possessions you own end up owning you. In fact, I think a lot more people would be happier if they own less stuff. Once again, you don't have to get as low on your number of possessions as me. It doesn't all have to fit in like two suitcases. But I think a lot of people, instead of being terrified of having something to go back or them losing some of their possessions, I think a lot of people could benefit from voluntarily living with less because there is just a lot of stress, there's a lot of drama, there's a lot of money that goes into buying things and upkeeping things year in and year out. And a lot of this stuff is stuff we don't really need. It's stuff we don't even use. We just buy it because when we first saw it, we wanted it, or we felt like someone of our status or our background or in our area should have it. There's a litany of reasons why we buy stuff that we don't really want, and all this does is add drama and just like unnecessary expense and time thinking about this stuff. And that's money and that's time and mental faculties that we could be spending on doing things in life we really wanted to do. So even in like the best of times, I think it's best to own what you need and a few other things you love and just stop right there. That's always been my definition of a minimalism. I consider myself a proud minimalist. It's owning what you need and then a little more for fun, you know? And that's great. But I believe minimalism helps us even in the best of times, but definitely in times like these, tough economic times like these. I think a lot of people are still trying to hang on to their stuff. You know what I mean? And I'm not talking about the stuff in your life that you appreciate. I don't want anyone to ever have to get rid of the stuff they appreciate, the stuff they use, their hobbies, their kids' toys. You know what I mean? All that stuff that you really appreciate in life, hold on to that. I'm talking about now is a great time to start getting rid of the excess in your life that you're holding on to because you think it means something because it doesn't. And I think it's a great time to get rid of it now while other people still have some money and they might buy it from you. Okay. I mean, I'm laughing, but I'm serious. You know, most people have a lot of stuff sitting around the house and in storage units, storage, especially in America. America has what millions of square footage of storage units that people are paying $100 plus a month on. So much money goes into storage units, and most people are just storing stuff. Most people, you ask them what was in their storage unit, they wouldn't even know. Most people are just storing stuff because they couldn't bring themselves to get rid of it. If you got a storage unit and you don't know what's in it, next weekend, this weekend's almost up. You may have to work start tomorrow. Next weekend, go in that storage unit, pull that stuff out. Anything you don't think you're going to use, get rid of it, and then get rid of the storage unit. These are not the days to be spending money frivolously, trying to hold on to things that we don't even use, we don't even remember, we don't even know about. And I know a lot of times the less we have, the less we think the less of a person we think we are. He who dies with the most toys wins. I heard that my whole life growing up, like the 80s. People don't say it as much now. They said it a lot in the 80s. That's back when greed was good. We're still just as greedy, but we say it a little more low key. Hey, 1 through 3 official. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Super Chat Squad said, please leave a like for abundance. I appreciate that. Oh, hold on. I just want to give you a like on that. I appreciate the love. Thank you. Already hit 50 likes. That's amazing. Thank you so much. So yeah, like I know so many people's self-worth is tied up in what they own, where they live, what they drive, what they wear. The bad part of that is though, when we do go through tough economic times and that stuff is stripped away from people involuntarily, well, then they're just devastated. They are just devastated because that's who they are and it's gone. It's kind of like people who put their whole life is their partner. And then when that relationship is over, that person breaks up with them or something happens to that person, they're devastated because that was all they had. A lot of people do that. Their whole life is just acquiring. And when they're having a bad day, but I got this, I got, you know what I mean? And it's cool if that stuff really means something outside of that to you. But when like your whole self-worth is tied up in possessions, if things go wrong and you lose those possessions, you're devastated. And on top of the like dealing with the situation that led to you losing this stuff. One of the things I really appreciate about being a minimalist is that my self-worth is tied up in like me. Over the years I've learned to realize that it's not the shirts I wear, it's not the car I drive, it's not where I live. Even though I like to throw on a nice shirt, when I had a car, I loved my Prius. You know what I mean? I like living in decent areas. All that stuff is cool, but it's not me. And when you take away all that stuff, I'm still there. And so I can still be happy. I can still be happy with less because I've learned to live with less. And I just think more people could benefit from that, because it's a rude awakening. It's a rude awakening when you think you're somebody special because of what you wear, what you drive, and then the repo man comes for all that. He comes with a car, or you have to sell you know what I mean? And I don't want to see that happen with anyone. But I just think these are times to like really appreciate that living with less can be helpful. Once again, if you've got a lot of expensive stuff that you really don't do anything with, I think it's a good time to put that on Etsy, put that on eBay, upsell wherever people are selling these. I ain't done a lot of selling recently. Wherever people are selling, get your coins for that. Use that extra money to weather whatever storms might come in the future till we get back to better times. And the crazy thing is, if you learn to downsize now, if you learn to like go through your house, go through your storage unit, go through your garage, get rid of stuff you really don't need, you will see that you really don't need that stuff. And then when the good times come back around and maybe your coins go back up, the economy's doing a lot better, you'll just have more money. You know what I mean? You won't go back to like, oh, let me finance this, let me do that. Nah, I'm telling you, it is possible to have very little and be cool and be happy. Because honestly, we don't really like the people you know who have a ton of clothes. How often do they wear all those clothes? You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. Like people who just have a ton of anything. How often do they really use it? People just like to buy. People just like to buy. And these aren't the times for just mindlessly buying. You know what I mean? I know I realize like I think now I actually have 4 pairs of pants, which is more than I thought I had. Like I have a pair of blue jeans that, you have to have a pair of blue jeans. You don't have to, but I like to have a pair of blue jeans. Um, and then I got a couple pair of khakis and some black, I don't even know what you'd call those pants. But like I don't even like I said, I didn't even realize I had 4 pairs because I don't even wear all those. Now it's different. You like if um if you work somewhere and like you're expected to have a different outfit every day, and even that you can mix and match. But like I don't know, just I don't, I have like 8 shirts, a hoodie, a little sweater, a jacket. Like if actually it feels like I have more than I think I have. You know what I mean? But like I just realized it's not like I go around missing the stuff I got rid of. It's not like I go around being like, man, I want more clothes. If I did, I would just buy them. But I really don't want them. Like I'm just as happy with less stuff. It's like I don't miss it. Like it's not even, you know. The other day I sat down in bird poop and I was like, oh man, I'm gonna have to deal with these bird poopy pants because like I ain't got many other pants. You know what I mean? There might be situations like that. Tim, you're not selling it. But yeah, it's just like you can have less and be happy. I would even argue happier than when you're constantly trying to acquire. Constantly trying to acquire, because that's a game that never ends. When you feel like your self-worth is based on what you own and also what else you can get, then you're just going to spend your whole life constantly trying to acquire. It's not like you're like, hey, I really want this. You get it, you're cool. It's just that constant like consumerism. I have to always be buying, 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 buying. That game never ends. And where does it lead? It just leaves you with an apartment or a house full of junk, or I won't even call it junk, full of stuff that you don't do anything with. So as soon as you get paid, whatever money you have left over after the bills, or if you have no money left over, people put it on credit cards, goes out the window just trying to like acquire more when you already got a ton of stuff. It's time people to go the other direction. It's time to go. What's the opposite of consumerism? I'm gonna say downsizism. It's time to go the other direction. Like it's time to be smarter than the herd or the people who still think we're living in those times where you can make it just mindlessly consuming. It's time to realize, like, okay, we're going into the less is more. We've been in the less is more era, but like, you know what I mean? Like, these are the times where it's like, all right, what can I get rid of? How can I get as minimal as possible? Or how can I get as minimal? How can I get to a level I'm comfortable with? Because I'm always preaching minimalism isn't a religion. There's not a set number of possessions you need to have. Like, how can I get to a level where I'm comfortable and I realize like the things I have I use, and then I got my little fun stuff, the little extra stuff. Beyond that, I just don't have a house full of like extra stuff. And like I said, the ironic part of it is you will be happier. You'll feel lighter. It feels better. It feels better. Now, people don't want you to know this because, like, our economy is based on people mindlessly consuming. But even though we've been mindlessly consuming for forever, we still have tough economic times. And that's one thing people are like, oh, if you tell everybody to like stop spending money, the economy will crash. Well, it looks like it's about to do that anyway, sooner or later. You know what I mean? Which it does in cycles anyway. Um, so hey, while people still got money, while people still got coins, while and if you want to sell some of the stuff, also a lot of people struggling, donating some of the excess stuff you have will help people. Will help people. Now, I'll be honest, Goodwill will be charging for stuff like it's brand new. So I really need to see the statements. I need to see Goodwill's bank statements, and I need to know how much of that money they're making by charging brand new prices for stuff goes to help people. I really need to that aside. That aside. I just get mad when like thrift stores charge new store money because I'm like, I can just go down to the Walmart, buy it new. I'm not buying a lamp from the thrift store for $15. You know what I mean? But in theory, donating can help to like help people who might be struggling, might need things, can't afford to buy them new. Sadly, at the moment, you donate, you're helping them out. So you're helping yourself. You sell the stuff. You're helping other people out. You donate it. Then there'll be some stuff. I always say the 3Ds: dollars, dumpster, donate. Some stuff you just have to throw away. You know what I mean? And I'm sure there's people who go through the trash and get that stuff out, so you're helping them out too. But I just really don't feel like these are the times to continue to mindlessly buy and accumulate. These ain't the days. I don't think it's ever the days, but it's definitely not these days. And that's sometimes when I'm watching and I totally understand about housing. I totally understand about the basic needs. I want everyone to be comfortable. I want everyone, if you work 40 hours a week, you should be able to afford your basic needs and some. But sometimes when I watch videos about people complaining about the economy, I wonder how much excess stuff do they got sitting around their house that they could sell and maybe, once again, not putting the blame on them at all, you know, not putting the blame on them at all. But sometimes I wonder, I'm like, are our actions mapping to our words? If we're out here discussing about just how broke we are, sometimes you got to make sacrifices. Sometimes you got to make sacrifices to stay above water. I'm here to tell you, you know, I basically changed up my whole life. And I mean, the way I live my life is the way I like living it. But there was in the beginning, I feel like there was more sacrifices I had to make to start living this life. And it was just like you can't always do what you want to do in the way you want to do it. You know, sometimes you may have to make a little sacrifices. But yeah, just definitely when you're living your life, making certain decisions that you honestly didn't decide to make, or you decided to make them, but you were kind of programmed into believing it. I honestly think the average person, without the advertising, without the commercials, without everyone around them say it, I think the average person would be minimalist. If you look at all our ancestors, very rare, like especially like back in the day, very rarely did they like hoard stuff. You know what I mean? Usually they just had a place to stay, some pots and pans, some pots, some pitchers. I don't, like just they just had basic stuff. This whole like everybody wants to buy as much as they can and hoard is kind of new. You know what I mean? This is kind of new. For most of history, people just had the bait, like want a place to stay, I want food to eat. I got my little tchotchkes, got a bed, we're good. Bearskin rug. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like for most of history, people was just it was more about getting what I need to survive and then living my life. Now it seems to be more about acquiring as much as I can, making as much money as I can, as opposed to just like there's no content. There's very little gratitude. These are times. Let me set him right there. These are times. I was asking about him yesterday. There he is. I think these are times to be focused on contentment, focused on gratitude, focused on like what do I have, and asking ourselves what is important to me. And if there's things that aren't important, I think get them up out your. That's across the board. One of the things here lately, I've been kind of looking at. This is a sidebar, but I realized that I had some people. I don't have a lot of people in my life, but I realized I had a couple people in it that just were in it because they've been in it. And then I had to really do inventory and be like, nothing against those people, no shade. I wish them well, but you know, I don't really know if it's like that no more. You know what I mean? I think every now and then you got to inventory, but especially like possessions and stuff. Like, do I really need all this craziness in my life that I have to worry about? And I have to have a certain size apartment just because all this stuff I have. I have to have a 2-bedroom apartment, even though it's just me, because all this stuff I have. And now a 2-bedroom apartment is $800 or $1,800 a month. Maybe I can get rid of some of the stuff, move down to a one bedroom, a studio. Don't get crazy. Don't get crazy. A studio, which is still probably 1,200 a month, but still, you saving $600 a month. I think we can't. This is life. People always tell me reality. You know what I mean? But then when I talk about my stuff, it's Tim, you got to live in reality. But then when you say, hey, look at the reality around you, which by the way, you can live whatever reality you want to. We can't have separate realities. But if those reality people want to look at the world around them, it's like, bro, like if you're trying to talk reality, this ain't the time to keep doing the stuff you've been doing with the spending, with the buying, with the consuming. It's not. I know the numbers was down on Christmas spending, I believe, retail spending, but I'm surprised it was as much as it was. I'm like, these people all over TikTok and YouTube talking about inflation, everybody broke, can't buy meat, can't, you know what I mean, have to pick between. But I'm like, why, who doing this Christmas spending? We can cancel the holidays, folks, or we can cancel the spending aspect. Hey, this Christmas, we not doing no, we can't afford gifts. We can't afford to give people stuff they don't even want. This Christmas, we ain't giving nobody a present over the age of 11. Okay, maybe like 15, because they maybe possibly might appreciate it. Everybody else is just going to get the Christmas spirit for Christmas. 2024, all you getting is a Christmas spirit. You're not getting, we can't do it no more. We can't do it no more. We just keep trying to live these same lives, spending the same money, buying the same stuff that we don't legit, bro. It's different. Hey, super chat coming through. Thank you, Reed. Reed coming through. That is love. Thank you so much. I appreciate the support. Says Tim, why do you think people forget about New Year's resolution goals by the time we get to the month of February? Real quick, I'll touch on this, then I want to get back to the topic. But thank you. You super chat, so we'll talk about it. I think it's just because we all make New Year's resolutions to do things that are very hard for us to do. And by the time February rolls back around, we fall back into our old routines. If it was easy for us to do it, we would have done it in August. You know what I mean? We don't get this new boost of willpower. I don't believe in willpower. So let me say, we don't get this new boost of discipline or whatever it takes to start something new and something hard just because the new year rolls around. Now, you're the same person December 31st as you are December 3rd, right? I mean, January 3rd. So we think that like, oh, it's a new year. I'm gonna really buckle down this year. But typically, we just fall back in the same routines after about a week or two because all the easy stuff we already did throughout the year. So we always put the hard stuff. If you make easy New Year's resolutions, that's why I don't make them anymore. I just say, hey, I got some goals for 2024. I'll get to them when I get to them. Because it might take me till March to build up what I need to build up, whatever that mysterious force is called that makes us do something as opposed to not doing it. So, like, that's why I don't do New Year's resolutions because it's crazy to just be like, oh, it's the beginning of the year. So we're all going to suddenly do things we haven't been able to do the rest of the year. Good question. Yes. So I just think that even just like thinking about, okay, where do I have excess? Because I do believe we live in an abundant universe, but there's a difference between excess and abundance. You know, being comfortable to me, like being able to live comfortable is an example of abundance. I don't need to be comfortable times 10. Just being comfortable is an example of abundance because I could not be comfortable. You know what I mean? So that's the way I look at it. But like excess is more than you need. And excess is good in America. That's what we do. We do excess. The other countries look at us and be like, bro, like what are they? Like how much y'all need? Sadly, a lot of other countries are following in our footsteps in that regard. But like, hey, where's some excess in my life that I can cut out so I can get down to these basics? You know what I mean? Because in tough times, you need realness, and you need realness in your life. You know what I mean? You need your real family. You need your real friends. You know, if I think we all have a little possession, like I said, possessions and other things we really do appreciate. But isn't it better to have the 8 or 9 things in your life you really appreciate and just be able to like use them or whatever, as opposed to having 100 things in your life and the 8 that you care about get swallowed up. You don't even know where they're at. Hey, Mike01 Davis coming through. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Mike, I appreciate that continued support. Thank you so much. So what's up, Tim, in the chat? Funny, this is the topic because my girl just tried to get rid of clothes in the closet I haven't worn in years. Hey, shout out to your girl. Shout out to your girl. She own it. She own it. You don't never wear these clothes. Let me get them up out of here. Now, you didn't say it, but from the fact that you said she just tried, that lets me know you shut that down. That lets me know you're a little hesitant. You're like, nah, I'm gonna get back in them shorts. No, I'll mess with you, Mike. I appreciate the love, man. I appreciate it. Let your girl go in and get them clothes up out of there, dog. She know what she's doing. You got your keeper. Got your good woman. She's like, nah, we get these clothes, but she gonna sneak them out when you at work. She gonna sneak them out when you at work. You not even gonna know it. About 3 months later, but where them clothes go? Oh, I got rid of them. Got rid of them. Anyway, hey, I appreciate the love, man. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, as I said in the beginning, that whole you'll own nothing and be happy, I'm like, fine with me. You know what I mean? As long as I'm happy, I don't need to own nothing. As long as I got place to lay my head, a shelter over my head, I got food, I got good friends, I got my family that I got. I don't really need to own nothing. You know, it's funny. I'll never forget Jimmy Fallon was on that Jerry Seinfeld's comedians getting coffee with comedians in cars or something. Coffee comedians in cars, whatever it's called. And I think one of them had a boat, and the other one was like, I've always said never have a boat, just have a friend with a boat. Because boats are like so much work and it costs so much money. And most people spend all that money and they never take the boat out. You know, it just sits there and they just pay they pay all this upkeep. They never take it out. And he was like, never have a boat, just have a friend with a boat. And I always thought that was like so true and eye opening. Is like so many other things in life we want to like, oh, because if like you, like when it comes to like four-wheelers and boats and all that type of stuff, anyone who has one wants to like ride it or cruise it or with other people. All growing up, I had friends. Well, once I got my 20s, I had friends with nice cars. And there was nothing they like better than picking me up and we just cruising around in their nice car. I never had to have a nice car. That Prius, I think, was the nicest car I've ever had. No, I had a Saturn once that I got brand new, but I never had to have a nice car because my friends had nice cars. And I'm like, yeah, when we pull up, if you trying to impress the ladies with the car, you know, you might get first pick, but she won't have friends. So I don't need the nice car. I still get the benefits from it. Yeah, I'm in the passenger side scrubbing it. I don't care though. I'm not spending all this money in a nice car. I can sit in the passenger seat. Just make sure the seat's comfortable. I don't need to have all this other stuff. I just need my needs met in life. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just when you start looking at it, and people are always like, Tim, I don't want to just survive though. I want to thrive. It's like you can thrive. I'm not saying just bare necessities for survival. You can have, like I said, comfort, be comfortable, but it doesn't involve this. It doesn't have to involve this endless cycle of always trying to buy more. You can get to a place where you're like, I'm good. You know, this is cool for me. I'm good. And you can be happy there. You can be content. You can be grateful. Hey, Mitchell Anderson, appreciate the love coming through. Super Chat Squad, thank you. Says, hey, Tim, 35 days sober. Yes. Let's go. That is awesome, Mitchell. Says, thanks for being you. Thank you. Thank you for the abundance. And yeah, I'm so happy. 35 days sober. You got past that month mark. You still going. If my content, my videos helped in any way, I feel so blessed. Keep going, Mitchell. Keep going. Thanks for sharing. I appreciate that. Thanks for you coming through and sharing, showing love. Thank you. So we just hit 30 minutes. I wanted to rant and ramble for about 30 minutes. So I'm gonna jump in the chat now and we can kind of have a discussion. I kind of want to talk a little bit about some of this, but we might veer off. So if you asked something earlier and because I wasn't in the chat and you kind of want to talk about it, now would be the time to put it back in the chat. We're gonna jump right back in there. And Any other minimalists in the building? I know there are. I know there's some. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm just looking through some of the old comments real quick. See if there's anything I want to answer. Yeah, Ted said if your keepsakes are taking up room, take a photo of each one. Then yeah, yeah, and then you can. And you know what's crazy? There were a couple things I took pictures of. Um, I've mentioned this before because there wasn't a lot. There was a couple things. Uh, a friend of mine had sent me a very nice letter from Sweden, um, and she also sent me some Swedish comic books, which was the best gift ever. Like some Swedish Batman, like bro, like anyway. Um, and I took a picture of the letter because I was like, I'm just, I know I would lose it traveling. I said, you might as well, you know. I read it one more time, and it meant a lot to me. Took a picture of it, and then downside, um, and I think I eventually gave the comic books to somebody because I was giving away some comic books, and I'm like, like these are very special. So, there was something I didn't want to sell. I wanted to give those to somebody because she gave them to me. Because I didn't want to. I don't want to make no money off of it. I wanted to pass it on, someone who would appreciate it. But I've never looked at the pictures. You know what I'm saying? Like you say, and it is a move. Take pictures of something so you can always remember it if you want to get rid of it. But you probably will never look at the picture because the important thing is the memories. And that's the thing. When I think about that letter and what was in it, I just remember it. Like I don't have to go through my old hard drives on my laptop and be like, let me find it. Like I remember it. I remember her. I remember the times we shared. I feel the same feelings, even though it's been 15 years or whatever. Um, and so stuff like that, like even though that definitely helps in getting rid of things, I found that like I almost never need to look at those pictures because it's so many things we hold on to, and some things, please, if it's very special, keep it, hold on to it. Um, but a lot of things mean something, but it's not to where we feel like we need to have it with us the rest of our life. You'll find that even if you get rid of it, you still remember the memory, you know. And you remember that person giving it to you or when you bought that or whatever, and so like you really don't need a reminder of it, like you just naturally remember it, you know. Blinked, I sold the Prius. It was starting to have some mechanical issues. It had like a bad oil leak. And it was going to be more to fix it than what the car was worth, and so while it was still drivable, I went ahead and sold it. I took it down to the CarMax and sold it. um, because I didn't want to deal with it breaking down somewhere, middle of nowhere. I'm having to get it, all this stuff. I would rather just me be able to make the decision of when I got rid of it, as opposed to me like having to just like wait for it to break down. And I figured I took it to CarMax, they could fix it up, resell it, and it was a good car. So I wanted somebody else to get it, because that car did very well for me. So it's a very fixable issue and very inexpensive for a place like CarMax. Whereas for me, it would be, so I wanted to pass the car on. Erica Williams, yeah, being a minimalist has great advantages. Appreciate the kind words. Yeah, the things you don't end up owning, I didn't realize how, and I never had a ton of stuff. But before I, found minimalism and got rid of 90% of my stuff for the first time, um, I didn't even realize how much the stuff I had weighed on me. You're just thinking about this stuff. You're worried about this stuff day in and day out. And the more minimal I get, the more I realize, A, I didn't need a lot of that stuff. And the stuff I still have now, I could just replace it. If something happens to my clothes, I replace it. If something happens to this laptop, I replace it. And that really also helped me to see, like, oh, it's not the stuff. It's not the stuff. There's very little in my life that's irreplaceable. And most of that stuff is sentimental. And I'll still always have the sentiment. So I'm like, it's not the stuff. Like, so when it comes time to acquire more stuff, I'm like, I already know I'm gonna get rid of this soon. So if it's something I like y'all know sometimes, um, Oh, you'll see me wearing new shirts and stuff like, yeah, I'll be like, all right, I feel like buying some shirts right now, whatever. But I end up getting rid of them. End up getting rid of them. Some of them I hang on to, but the shirts I hang on to I've had for years. But like, it's not the stuff, and really all we're doing is just giving ourselves more stuff to worry about. Yeah, Thomas, whatever happened to saving money? Now, we did save money during the pandemic, but as soon as it was over, we spent all them savings. Soon as it was over, or soon they're all gone now. Blake, back in the day, I've worked at jobs for I think a couple of years was the longest I ever worked at a job, but I did work at a job, back in the day, decent amount of time. That's a long time for me. 2 years, a long time. Hey, Sammy Sam, thank you, thank you. Mo Ray, currently I'm living in Airbnbs, and someone asked, "Is that cheaper than rent?" Sometimes yes, sometimes no. So it just depends on the deals you can find. I will admit that Airbnb is starting to go up a little bit. I've noticed that. But a lot of it depends on where you're at, time of year, different stuff. You got to hunt for the deals, but I can usually find them. But even if it turns out being more than I would pay on average for rent, the ability to like be in different places, I'm willing to spend a little more for that. So it's not always about like you even said like I think minimal is about what you need and like a little more the fun stuff. So like for me, travel and being in different places is the fun stuff. So I might spend a little more on, it might cost me a little more if you average it out than maybe I was paying for rent in Denver, but I'm enjoying the places I'm staying. Not to mention, since I don't have a lot of stuff, I'm not spending a ton of money on stuff. I can take that money and put it towards travel. So that's kind of it's never about the amount of possessions. It's never about even the money if it's something you want to do. If you can afford it and you want to do it and you really want to do it. It's about being mindful of why you're spending the money, why you're buying certain things. You know, Chris, I don't have a Chromebook anymore. Washingtonian, I could pitch a tent and live outside. Yes, I don't plan on it, but I could. But I hope it doesn't come to that. Unless I do it by choice. Space, yeah. I mean, I think we all take our childhood for granted because we had never been anything else. Like you can't. I think it takes becoming an adult to truly appreciate childhoods if you had a good one. Um, because you have nothing to compare childhood to when you're a child. You just think that's the way it is. And you become an adult and you learn like, oh, okay. I really appreciate my parents a lot more now that I'm adult because I'm like, oh man, they provided an amazing life for me the entire time. I lived at home and I even came back, a couple times or whatever. So, well, yeah, a couple times. Now, as an adult who has to make it work, month in and month out, I'm like, oh man, that was a lot. My parents, that was a big deal, But I do think there are depressed people everywhere, but I think there's happy people everywhere. Um, and I think there are some people with amazing lives, So I think a lot of it, I do believe perspective plays a big role in it. But I do think you have to kind of experience some happiness to get the perspective that life can be amazing. You know what I mean? So like I understand when some people are very dark and just like life doesn't get any better, it's super depressing. It's kind of like with childhood, that's all you knew. So like if as an adult all you knew is depression and loneliness, you're gonna think life's always that way. But there are a lot of people who aren't depressed. There's a lot of people who aren't lonely. There's a lot of people who are alone and get lonely from time to time, like myself, but are still living life, Um, and that's why I always encourage people to try to do things that they think might bring them joy, it might bring them happiness, even if they're outside their comfort zone, even if everybody else says it's weird, because that's how you start to get on the path that gets you to the perspective of realizing, like, oh, this life thing can be cool. You know, when you go out and do something and it brings you some like real joy, and you're like, oh man, I like doing that. That brought me joy, even if it's only for 2 hours. But it gets you to be like, oh, there can be joyful moments in this life. Let me try to find some more. You know, that's why I firmly believe the more we live our life, not the life everybody else has to live, or, not the life everybody else is living, but I firmly believe the more we live our life, the more we can get through some of the negativity, some of the down periods in life. Moray, I feel like you can escape the system as much as possible. And so my goal isn't to totally escape the system. My goal is to be as free as possible. You know what I mean? So like I don't really worry about like, am I totally out of the system? It's just like, am I as free as I can be right now? Am I enjoying life as much as I can right now? And what can I do to get freer? Um, yeah, because all we can do is do as much as we can do. So even if we ultimately can't totally leave the system, I don't think that's necessary to live an enjoyable life. If you're like 90% out, that's cool. If you're 80% out and cool, well, that's cool. You know what I mean? I don't think it has to be all or nothing. Roy, I've been sober 5 plus years, and I'm 44 now. So I guess 39, 38, 39. Um, yeah, I know, but I know it's been like 5 plus years. Johnson, if you were earning enough every month to live a basic living without needing to work, what would you do? Would you work anyway? What work would you do? I mean, it'd be kind of like it is now. Like I work from time to time. Um, Sometimes just because I want to go see my friends. Um, Sometimes I get bored not doing anything really, but travel, hike, do YouTube. It's pretty much what I do now. But I think I'm one of those people that I need something to do from time to time, something that I have to do. Um, as much as I enjoy the freedom of content creation and kind of creating what I want for the most part, sometimes I like having a routine. I like having to go to work. I like having to clock in at 8. I usually only do it for a couple months, which is why I like seasonal work. But every now and then I like kind of the structure. Um, yeah. Hey, Riggs man, thank you, thank you, thank you. That is love. Thank you so much. Super Chat Squad says, what are you? I'm trying to put a like on here. Okay, cool. So, what are you reading right now, Tim? I just finished The Slight Edge. It's a solid self-help book. I was reading Die with Zero. I got about a third of the way through that. And it wasn't really written for me because that's natural for me. It was written for people who have a lot of money and don't want to spend it. But I'm the exact opposite. I don't make much and I spend it uh, because I'm spending it living my life. So it was for people who like have money but are scared to spend it. It's like live more, die with zero. You don't need to have money left over when you're dead. And I also was reading The Rational Recovery, which is a really good book about alternatives, getting sober without like going to AA or all these other recovery groups. And I got about halfway through that book because there was really no need for me to read all of it since I've been sober. But currently, I don't have a book I'm reading right now. But those are the last two books I read. And I appreciate the love. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, the bouncer Angela's in here. Watch out. Watch out. Hey, actually, that's true. Yeah, your health start to, even if it goes away, then comes back, or you have a scare, or worse, if it's something that's going to be with you the rest of your life. Yeah, you start to realize, man, like, bro, when my, and not making this about me, but I don't know everybody else's story. I know my stories. When my plantar fasciitis or whatever was acting up last year, and I was walking with a bad limp, and that hurt. Like I remember walking through Walmart and just everybody giving me the sympathy look because I was doing the and then that was hurting. And I was like, man, I'm not even gonna be able to hike. And that was like painful to go into Walmart, get something, get back to the car. I was in pain. And I'm like, man, I'm not even gonna be able to hike no more. I'm not gonna be. I just thought about all the walking I do, and that just made like I was shook. Like I called my dad. He helped me. He says probably just gonna go away. I went and saw the doctor. They did absolutely nothing, but told me to do stuff I'd already Googled. But anyway, I'm glad I went. But eventually it went away. And but that just made me realize, like, wow, like, bro, like it ain't, you know, like the simple things you do can be taken away from you. So you could really realize, like, man, I'm just happy to now I wear Skechers. If I wear anything else, I put my Dr. Scholl's inserts in there. I'm happy to have them Skechers, bro. I'm happy to have those $12 Dr. Scholl's inserts. I'm grateful. You know what I mean? That I'm grateful to be able to walk, man. Like, yeah, it's interesting how, and I'm super grateful I'm able, it went away. Every now and then it bothers me, and I have to, you soak your feet in Epsom salt, and there's a bunch of exercises you can do with your feet. I try to do them whenever I feel my feet acting up, but bro, I'm just grateful to be able to walk because that was like a scary week, only a week or two. It was about 2 weeks or something like that. Because I had to like take it easy, so I was just like sitting at the apartment, like you know, don't walk any. It's crazy. So like just yeah, just having something taken away for a little bit makes you realize like, oh, all this other stuff ain't important, bro. Like just I'm happy to just do the regular basic stuff, you know? Bella, thank you, thank you, thank you. Super chat squad. That is love. So thanks, Tim. I needed to hear this. I was bummed about not getting to work today, but at least I was able to take a nap because I was so exhausted earlier. Hey, you got your good nap in. Got your good nap in. You can always go to work. You know what I mean? But like, hey, getting a good nap, that's rare. And I feel you on this because I used to work Super Chat Squad. Thank you, thank you. Um, I used to work in lawn maintenance back in the day, and there'd be times when it would rain and we wouldn't work. So if I'm expecting to work 5 days this week, get a 40-hour, paycheck, and then we don't work, and I miss out on like 8 hours, like you can't make that up. Like in our line of work, like we sometimes you could work Saturday, but sometimes we wouldn't. Um, and sometimes like we're not going to make like it would be a slower week, and but oh, we can get all this done in 4 days. And I remember like you drive into work, it start raining, you go home, and I remember them days when I'd be so bummed out because it's like, dang, I missed out on the whole day's work. I was planning on that having that money, it just went away. And I would always try to tell myself, well, like, hey, at least I get a day off. At least I can play around with my comic books. You know what I mean? I can tighten up my comic book collection. I can go see one of my friends. Like I would always be like, hey, it gives me a day to live, to do what I want. And honestly, I would do a lot of drinking too back then. But I used to try to think about like I can go to work any day, but like having a free day off, people would kill for this. So I know like sometimes when you're not working, like how aggravating it is. But yeah, that thought of just like, well, let me see what I can do today that ordinarily I wouldn't have been able to do, like take a nap, you know? All right, I'll go back over these comments where I'm at. Paul said the powers don't want you to own assets that generate wealth. And now I'm definitely not saying don't generate wealth. I'm definitely not saying don't own any assets. I think for most people, the frivolous spending they do isn't on income generating assets. You know, it's on just dumb stuff. If everybody was spending their money on rental properties and stocks and Bitcoin and precious metals and other things they could use on tools and equipment, you know, that's not frivolous spending because like you're trying to make some extra money. But like we spend the bulk of our money on crazy stuff that don't even, you know what I mean? So it's like I think the powers that be don't have to worry about it. We're so brainwashed to buy stupid stuff that they ain't even worried about us buying, assets. They don't do that. They can buy a new iPhone. Why would they invest that $1,200? You know? Hey, Bryson, if nicotine patches work for you, use them. You know what I mean? Like no one else can judge you on your sobriety or you quitting something. If something works for you and it keeps you where you need to be, you know, do what you got to do. Hey, Ellie, start the day watching it live, end of the day watching it all. Yes, yes. Glad the lives could make you feel better. That's my goal. That is my goal. So glad to hear that. That is true. Thomas working a lot is not, it ain't just as healthy. Like if you got work you enjoy and like a safe work environment, I think it can be healthy because you're getting, especially if it's some type of, some level of physicality to it, and even that's not, a must. But I think work you enjoy benefits your health. Work you hate doesn't, Hey, Luke Kang, thank you, thank you, thank you. Super Chat Squad, thank you so much. Said I'm getting rid of things slowly but surely. Let's go, let's go. Super Chat Squad, let's go. And I feel like that's the move. Like it doesn't have to be a rush. It's a marathon, not a sprint. It ain't even a race. It's just it's a leisurely walk. You know what I mean? You just as you identify stuff you want to get rid of, you get rid of it. You know, you know. If you want to pick up the pace, cool. If you don't, you don't. It's a journey, as opposed to a race. Yeah, that's got your life, man. What up, Jennifer? Jennifer S. Oh yeah, Bryson, my feet are fine for the most part now. Like I said, every now and then, like if I walk around in like I got some Nikes that I'm probably gonna get rid of soon. They're kind of like if I'm going somewhere, if I'm dressing up, I'll put on my white Nike. You know what I mean? But if I wear them too long, my feet will start hurting because that's what the problem was. It was I've been wearing bad shoes my entire life. Well, not my entire life. But you know what I mean? I haven't been wearing shoes that did anything good for my feet. So if I wear those shoes, my feet will start acting up again. But as long as I, wear comfortable shoes, wear my inserts, yeah, it's every now and then I feel it hurting. Like I said, I do my exercises, and it's thus far it's been okay. Thus far it's been okay. 2024, Year of Gratitude. Let's go. Hey, CBGB, glad you can walk again. Sorry to hear about the balance. You got the elliptical helping you out. Glad to hear that. Glad that whole replacement worked out for you though. Back mobile. Blake said the highlight of my job is when I take a break and watch my phone, watch my phone in the bathroom. Wow. Hey, hopefully I'm laughing, but hopefully soon, you can change that situation because, yeah, that I feel you. Yeah, that's rough. But at least you get those breaks. At least they got hopefully a comfortable bathroom. Um, Sabrina, glad to hear you're feeling better. Glad to hear you're feeling better. Kendra said 10 for president. Oh, thank you. Ingram. 2028. No. Have I stayed with the host of Airbnb? What do you mean, Doopy? Have I stayed in somebody's house? Yeah. If you mean that, yes, I have. If that's what you were asking. Thomas got rid of like 250 CDs last year. Okay. RIP to Carl Weathers. Yeah, I saw that. RIP to Carl Weathers. Some people have been asking. I mentioned this yesterday, but for anyone who didn't hear, um, I'm not gonna mention like where I'm actually at as much these days. Just some weird stuff. Nothing really bad, but I'm just not excited about doing that anymore. So I probably won't answer if someone says, "Where are you at now?" So it's not that I'm ignoring you or mad at you at asking. I'm just not going to be doing that anymore. Brian said, "Don't buy coffee and food. They're free or almost free." Where you stay at, Brian? They giving away coffee and food? Where you at? Hey, retired 2019. Good to see you. Said Tim, I live with less, very happy. Material possessions made me miserable. Hell, thank you. Thank you for that testimony. The more people who say it, I think the more people believe it. And I know just, from talking about it that there's from people that I know have kind of followed the channel, been part of the community for a while. Sometimes you'll see somebody, you know, takes years, but they're like, you know what, I'm gonna try this. And then they'll come in and be like, man, like this, you was right. Like I never thought I would say this. I thought you were crazy. I agree with some of the other stuff you said, but I thought that minimalism stuff was crazy. But like I gave it a try and you were right. Like I feel lighter. I feel happier. I ain't gotta worry about stuff, you know? Once again, I don't ever talk about downsizing or minimalism because I'm trying to sell a book on minimalism. Not that anything's wrong with that. Um, but like it's just helped me out. Like it's helpful for a lot of people, I think. Little Chef 29, do you want to get a job? You know? Like if you want to get a job, get a job. But like if you don't want to get a job, you don't have to get a job. I guess it's kind of up to you. You know? If you're trying to have, a little bit of your own money, you know. But hey, if you don't have to get a job, I don't think you have to have a job. Like, you know, if you don't want to work, I think the longer you can go without working, as long as you're not like mooching off anybody else, yeah. Especially in America, we think like if you're not working, something's wrong. But it's like, no, you don't have to work. You don't have to. Like, and you mentioned baby boomers holding on to stuff, retired 2019. I do think generationally, people's views on possessions are changing slightly. Um, because I think a lot of the boomers came up in, a time of prosperity, Um, whereas a lot of the generations that are coming up in times that aren't as prosperous, I think it's just, you know, they couldn't have as much. So I think maybe they are focusing or they're seeing the generations before them struggle with possessions. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of the younger generations are kind of more like, I just want to do some stuff. I want more experiences. There's still tons of consumers, but you know what I mean? Every generation. But I think more people are just being like, man, I just want experiences. Like, I don't know. Oh, little chef, your parents don't ask you to pay no bills and you good. Hey, you good, bro. Like I said, there is something really cool about making your own money. I will admit that. There's something really cool about doing some work, getting a paycheck. But if you don't want to do it, do what you do. Ah, that's deep, Drew. That's deep. So going through my mom's possessions after she passed away has been one of the most therapeutic things I've ever done. It allows me to remember my mom, but be okay with letting things go. That's deep. That's deep. That is deep. Yeah, Jacob, it'd be nice if we could bring communities back. Like, you know, I'm a big believer in community. One of the things I do miss in life is being a part of the community. Like I'm part of this community. You know what I mean? But like a IRL community. Like if there was somewhere where I could just go, and that's why I go back to like the YMCA in Estes Park a lot because there's a community there, and I know a ton of people there. So when I go back there, I fit. You know what I mean? I fit right in. From day one, it's oh, tell them what's up. Hey, boom, boom, boom. You see your friends. You know what I mean? I like that. I can't stay too long because y'all know me. But that is one of the things I'm searching for in life is that place where I can go and have a real life community, and there I'm surrounded by people that I can spend time with on a regular basis. Because I haven't had that too much since I've been an adult. Well, since I reached my 30s, maybe. Hey, John B coming through with the pounds. Thank you, thank you, thank you. International Super Chat Squad. That is love. Thank you so much. Said showing my appreciation for your for your interesting content, Tim. Helps keep me grounded too. Yes, yes. And I appreciate you're welcome. I appreciate the support. Thank you so much, John. Coming through from across the pond. Yes. International. The pounds. I don't know why. The pounds always fascinate me. Um, that is true, Gregory. So a lot of the boomers are hurting, working longer, and losing their homes. Yeah, man, that's yeah. It is definitely not an across the board. All the boomers are living the life they expected to live when they got older. Sadly, um, it's that's why when people are always on me about retirement, and I'm a firm believer, if you can set yourself up for retirement, do it. I do think that like our views about retirement need to change. Um, But when people are always on me about retirement, I'm like, bro, there's people from the generation who had pensions and had good retirements still working. So I'm not that worried about, you know what I mean? Who knows what it's gonna look like when I get that age? So I'm trying to rack up while still these days making an effort to realize that like, you will be older soon. So it's not like when I did the video, I have zero save for retirement. I had zero save for retirement. You know what I mean? Like these days I think about it and when I can, whatever. Um, but also like I'm trying to, if it comes to me being 70 years old and being stuck in some crappy government ran nursing home where they come in and check on me once a day, at least while I'm sitting there getting bed sores and slowly dying on the inside and the outside, at least I can think back to the rest of my life and all the experiences I had. That's the way I look at it. Maybe not the way to do it, but that's the way I look at it. I'd much rather that than I spend all my time now worrying about retiring, and then when I'm in that horrible government ran nursing home, all I can think about is how mad I am that like this is I spent all my good years doing that, and this is the outcome. Wow, Jonathan Fletcher, thank you, thank you, thank you, Super Chat Squad. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Jonathan Fletcher coming through with a hefty super chat. I appreciate that so much. And I don't think I've ever seen that sticker before. It's like a pair version of Godzilla, but in a good way. I love that. I love that. Thank you so much, Jonathan. I really appreciate the support. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I think we got a super chat train. Yes, retired 2019 coming through. I says, Tim, I respect you for living on your own terms. So many people seek approval from others, and it's about living life for yourself. Keep doing your thing. Hey, definitely will, and I appreciate that. Yeah, man. And it's if you can get past the judgment of others, I think is the best way to live. Is it hard to get past the judgment of others? Yeah. Uh, you know, yeah. But the more you do it, I think the easier it gets. But that's why I'm always like, I know I'm happiest when I'm doing the things I want to do. And not like selfishly, ding ding, but just like things that I understand I like, you know? Everybody craps on the WNBA, but when I go to a WNBA game, I'm so happy. You know what I mean? It's $12 and it buys me 2 hours of intense happiness. I love it. I love it. I love it. You know what I mean? A little, it could be a little, something like that. You know what I mean? Just, I think we're happiest when we're doing things that we're doing because we decided, I just kind of want to do that. As opposed to like, oh, I have to do this, because everybody else says I have to do it. There's no joy in that. Even when you win at that game, it's not as exciting. Why do you think there's so many successful people who are miserable? It's not what they want to be doing. If it don't mean nothing, it don't mean nothing. If deep in your core you want to be a surf instructor, in Hawaii or see what I mean, or something along those lines. If deep in your core you want to work outside, you want to work with people, you know what I mean, you want to be in nature, that's where you're happiest. It doesn't matter to what heights you ascend in a corporate office building, you're not going to be as happy. It's great. The money's probably good, but you're going to be staring out the window thinking about the beach the whole time you're there. You know what I mean? Like, I just wish we all crafted our lives to the best of our ability. We still got to pay the bills, all that, I understand. But I wish we started out with the premise instead of it's like, once you graduate high school, these are the things you have to do to be successful. I wish it was just like, hey, figure out what you want to do in this life and then find a way to finance it. Why can't we tell the kids that? Figure out what you want to do in this life and then find a way to finance it. But start with figuring out what you think you want to do. Take some risks, try some stuff out, experiment, and then find a way to pay the bills while you're doing that. And if you can do that and make money doing that, that's even better, bro. Like, I don't know. I don't know. So thank you. Thank you once again, Jonathan. I really appreciate the love. Thank you, Retired 2019. Thank you. Where's I got behind these comments? I wanna okay, there we are. Yeah, John Lennon, imagine no possessions. Is that in this song? Does it say it over there? Okay. You can if you try. Okay. Yeah, Armando, like to be independent, work for yourself, get paid. I think that, you know what I mean? Like I said, if you can find work you can do for yourself, it still makes you the money to pay the bills. Like, I think that's the best, especially if you're like the person who likes to be left alone. Not saying you want to work, but if you're like, yeah, I just kind of want to work for myself, do my own thing, you know? The problem is the workplace environment we have now. The problem is it's almost seen as normal to hate your job. That's the problem. And it doesn't have to be that way. We could have designed a society where, like, you know, you could kind of do something you liked. Wendy said, "We'll come and save you. No nursing home." Hey, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. You know, I'm not looking forward, to the government ran nursing home, but uh, you know, I just I'm trying to live. Gregory said, "Many people I know plan for a great retirement and did it all right to die just before or a little after they retire. The lesson is to live your best life each day." Yeah, sad. That's so sad. That's one of the saddest things. I want everyone to enjoy their life and live their life. So for someone to, and that's not to say you can't work really hard and get a good retirement and be enjoying your life along the way, because I'm sure there's some people who do that. And I think that's great. But I'm sure there's lots of people out there who just, I'm going to forego all this other stuff because I got to get this done, and then you know I think sometimes what it is when you spent your whole life going after a goal, when you reach it, you don't know what to do. So many people die like within the 365 days after they're retiring because they've spent their whole life doing one thing and it being the goal. And when they got there, what now? Especially when that goal was tied into work and something, it's just crazy. It's just like work very hard to get to this age and then stop working and just, you know what I mean? Like it's and it's great to not, like we were saying earlier, to not have to work if you don't want to. But like, what if someone liked their job? They hit 65, you're like, now you gotta leave. It's just weird, the whole thing. But I think for a lot of people, it was all about working till I'm 65 or whatever, and then, we got this lump sum of money, we're gonna have fun. But I think they may not realize, like, they're so used to this, to that, that like it's hard after what, 50 years of work or 40 years of work to just stop. I would imagine that's crazy to just stop. And now, like, all the relationships you built up at work, all the respect you get at work, like, all that stuff, like you were wrapped up in like that job, that career, and then it just goes away, and people expect you to be like over the moon happy because you're retired and you got some money saved up, which is great. I'm not knocking that at all. You know what I mean? If you can retire, if you can live your life and retire and have cash flow and be able to do your thing, I think that's a beautiful thing. I think that's a beautiful thing. I just think we have to be realistic and realize that, like, that doesn't always work out. And also sometimes it might not be that glorious move down to the villages and play golf But you know what I mean? Like you might get to a point, it's just like, bro, like I don't even know what to do now. Like I've been planning this for my whole adult life, and I get here and it just feels empty. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. Speaking of retiring, we got our retire and go. Speaking of retire, my guy retire and go. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Less stuff, less stress. Let's go. Experiences over things. A great 2024 ahead, Tim. All the best to you. Hey, I appreciate that, and I appreciate the love. Hey, and keep cranking out that amazing content. That amazing content. All I think. What you in South America now? In South America now, was it? I think. But yeah, keep cranking out amazing. I'm seeing your numbers go up. I'm watching the numbers. So yeah, I appreciate the love. Someone who always inspires me. So yeah, it's gonna be a great 2024. Always good to see you. Thank you for dropping by. Super Chat Squad, retire and go. You know, if you want a good content, traveling the world, check him out. Where am I at? Where am I at? I'm trying to make sure I get to people's comments. Best job I ever had? I'm not huge on ranking stuff, but when I was an assistant manager at Big Sky Resort, I really liked it. That was a special. It wasn't a long period, but it was a cool period. I think I do pretty good in like management. Yeah. Simple Natural Black Life said, always do you, Timothy. I'm making my business not to fit in. Nice, nice. Everything is going crazy out here doing that. Living on less junk, more outside, and saving for seeing the world. Happiest. Hey, exactly. Glad to hear that. Yeah, it's just live with less. You don't have all this stuff in your life, and then like you can save that money to do something like traveling or whatever it is you do. You can save the money you're spending on junk and stuff you really don't care about, and then spend that money on something you care about. You know, other people don't have to care about it. Other people don't have to want to do it with you. Other people don't have to understand why you like to spend money on crystals or whatever. You know what I mean? Why you want to try, like you don't have to. You don't have to. But it's pointless in my life or in our lives to buy stuff we really don't care about because other people said we should. Because it's not their money. It's not their money. If you think I should buy this, buy it for me because I don't want it. I don't need it. Hey, retired 2019. So as a baby boomer, I never thought I'd retire 4 days before my 57th birthday. Tim helped me out of the cubicle hell. Yes. Happily retired for 4 years. Hey, always glad to hear that. Always glad to hear that. Nice. Describing you, Rich Mountains. Oh, sorry to hear that. Hey, Beyond Reason. I'm good. Hope you're doing well as well. Blessings to you as well. G Money. I don't get involved in politics, so I don't have a pick for the presidential election. And I'm not really wrapped up in what's happening at the border. It's gonna do what it's gonna do. Um, to answer 436's question, yeah, I did lawn maintenance in Florida, so I worked with a lot of people, a lot of immigrants, and some of the best people I work with. Some, you know what I mean? About like anything else. Most of them were super cool. Some of them were not. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like it was interesting to hear because these were dudes that didn't come legally. You know what I mean? They had to pay somebody to get here. So it was interesting hearing their journeys and how dangerous it was. And this was 15 years ago. But like it was interesting hearing what they had to go through to come here and work because they were here about that money. About 15 of them lived in a house, but they all had nice cars and trucks, and they was all sending money back home. And this is what would get me because like some of the guys I worked with for a while, so like I kind of knew. It was weird because like some of them dudes had like families, so they would show me pictures. Oh, here's my daughter, here's my wife, and it was once again I'm like, dang, you left that to come here and work. I got a new respect because I'm like, would I leave if I had a beautiful wife and family like that? Would I be willing to leave and risk that dangerous journey to come here and work. But then like they would build a new house or something. They'd be, oh, look at my house, because they send the money home. They building houses. Like it was so yeah, it was a very eye-opening experience to work with people um who'd come to the country illegally to work. And it also helped me to understand that like people are people the world over. The numbers of percentages about the same. Most people good people, a few ain't, you know what I mean? But yeah, that was interesting. Um time for me. I'm really glad I got to know those people and work with them. And shout out to my buddy Chino. That was my guy. My boy Chino. That was my guy, man. I wish I could see him again. Hey, Rich Mountains. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Super Chat Squad. Wow, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. It's the best wings you've ever had. Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. Hey, Rich, there is a place, and I mentioned it before. I'm not going to say they the best wings, but there is a place in Estes Park, Colorado, which is a magical little mountain town right outside of Rocky Mountain National Park. Right now, they're doing a lot of road work and construction. Maybe wait a year before you go. But if you ever happen to get to Estes Park, Colorado, you need to visit the world's largest YMCA, 15 minutes up the road. 200 acres, beautiful. Elk and deer roam the property. It's amazing. But when you're in the little main street, it's a little small town. It's got a main street. Okay, if you're on Main Street, there's a place called Lonigan's. Now, it's an Irish pub that is owned by like Turkish people, but that's not the point. It's funny when you go in the Irish pub, nobody's Irish. There's not even any like white people, but working there. But they have some of the best wings. Every time, you could ask my buddy Cyan. Every time I go back to work at the Y, the first night, I drop my stuff off. I go to Lonigan's. I get me an old nasty 12 piece. Let me get that. And by the end, like the second week, they know me. You know, because they always give like a locals discount, and I come in there like every night or like every other. So they'd be like, "Do you live around here?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm working at the Y." So like, "Oh, we'll give you the locals discount." But yeah, Lonigan's has some of the best wings. Yeah, yeah. And it's crazy. Like I feel like they've changed. I started going there in what, 2017, 2018, and I feel like they might have changed ownership between there, but the wings are still the same. I'm like, they must have kept the cook, but they have some of the best wings. So thank you, Rich Mountains. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Super Chat Squad. I appreciate that love. Thank y'all so much. Thank y'all. Yeah, I kind of went off on a tangent there. You got me talking about wings. Yeah, yeah. Del Grady, I'm trying to get to the villages, man. I'm telling you, I want to go to the villages. I want to see what it's about. I'll watch videos about it. I want to get to the villages. If the villages are still there when I get in my 60s, I'm there. I might go work at the villages. That'd be fun. Hey, Beyond All Reasons, thank you, thank you, thank you. Super Chat Squad, Super Chat train going. Thank you so much. So blessed, good to see you. Doing good and still winning. Love you, man. Always appreciate you keeping us inspired through these years on the journey. Hey. It is my pleasure. Glad to hear you're still winning. Glad to hear you're doing good out here winning in these streets. Glad to hear that. Like I said, it's my pleasure to be able to put out inspiration and it means something to people. And I appreciate the love and inspiration and encouragement and motivation I get back, because it's definitely a two-way street. So thank you. I appreciate the love. Super Chat Squad, we here. That's love. That's love. Yeah, I'm trying to get down to the villages. And the villages is like the senior communities down in Florida. It's like its own town. It's so big, crazy. Oh, you used to join the private social club? Global Vagabond? You know what's crazy? I have always like a business I want to start so bad, but I don't know if you could do it in America. I want to start, the old gentlemen's clubs like you had in England, like when you watch the English movies, where like, where's Sir John at? Oh, he's down at his club. The gentlemen's club. And I'm not saying gentlemen's club because I want to exclude women. You know what I mean? Women could show up if they wanted to. But I would like to have that type of private club where like you go and it's like there's a room, like it almost be levels. Like I've thought about this, like having it leveled by like age, but I don't know if you can do that. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if in America you could do it. But like you'd have the floor for like the 20-year-olds. And that would be, it'd be probably a bar and, pool tables and sports and all that you know what I mean? And then like you'd have the floor for the 30-year-olds. And then the 40s and 50s. But like each level would kind of be geared towards that age group and what they were into. There'd also be like a quiet room where you could just go in and read or be on your device. But yeah, just like kind of a gentleman's club. Or I don't even know, not strip club, but like just like a club where you could go and just like hang out. But except for like the 20-year-olds floor, the 20 something floor, it would be like very respectable and kind of, you know, you know. But how would you? But I would want to make it accessible to everybody, but not accessible to everybody. Like I would want to make it affordable, 50 bucks a month or something for membership. But then you'd get a lot of rowdy people coming in there. So that's what I'm like, I don't know if you could decide who could be a member or not. Can you do that? Is that discriminating? But I've always wanted to do that. Like I think that'd be a cool business. Just have somewhere to go. Like Global Vagabond was saying. That sounds really cool. Have I ever made homemade wings? I've made homemade chicken thighs, but I haven't made wings at home. No. I don't think I don't think so. I don't think so. Jacob, you know some people in the villages down in Central Florida? Yeah, man. It's different down there. I used to live in Orlando back in the day. There's a lot of documentaries and like videos on the villages now. They're getting those videos get tons of views. Hey, RSN checking in from Spain. You said, do you ever feel drained after socializing at work? I'm one of those weird introverts that like when I'm at work, it's like I'm on. So like unless I'm having to socialize with someone I really don't want to talk to, it doesn't really bother me at work. Now, when I get home, I do need to recharge. But like at work, I typically don't feel myself like, oh, I'm so drained from talking to these people. Because it's like when I'm at work, I know it's time to socialize. I get drained if I have to talk to people like after work. That's when it's a problem. Oh, bro, I just want to be left alone. But at work, I'm kind of in socialize mode usually. Akari, I know you will own nothing, be happy is the World Economic Forum thing. Yes, I'm well aware of that because I was playing on that because that's what I'm saying. Like everyone says that or reads that, and it's a negative. And I'm like, while I get in the connotation people use it as negative, I do think it's possible to own almost nothing and be happy. So when I hear people say that's the plan, it doesn't bother me because I ain't got nothing now and I'm happy. So you can't, you know what I mean? That's kind of the whole point of saying that. North Florida gets cold in the winter. Bleh! Sorry, I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you, crocodile tears, because like I've been, I felt the same. I felt the same until I started living in Colorado and Montana. So I had to do a little laugh. But I feel you. Yeah, yeah. Last time I was down there visiting, it was like January, and they was like, "Oh, it's gonna be cold tonight. It's gonna be in the 20s." I'm like, "Bro, like stop. Don't." They was like, no, they literally was like, "Man, it got in the 30s like all week." I'm like, "Bro, like stop. Don't." But I couldn't say nothing because they would be like, "Oh, ever since you moved away, you think that," But they was like, "Man, it's been in the 30s. It dipped into the 20s." I'm like, I'm like a cold weather snob now since I spent 3 winters up north. Um, anyway, it can get a little chilly. It can get a little chilly. Happiness is only real when shared. Hey, I agree that happiness there is. I think there's happiness that can be had alone, and I think there's happiness that can be had shared. So I would disagree that happiness is only real when shared. Shout out to the OG though. Christmas candles. But I spend most of my time alone and I'm happy. So now I really admit there's times when I'm like, man, it'd be nice someone to be here. But I don't think my happiness is fake when I am happy alone. Like when I when I go to a hike that I really appreciate, or I do a hike I've never done before, and I just get so happy. I think that's real happiness. Like I don't have to have anybody there. Um, Crocodile tears. Do negative one time. It's eye opening. It's eye opening. You know, actually, it's not as bad as you like. It's cold, but it's not as bad as you thought. Like you be thinking you're gonna like freeze to death, but nah. Like if the wind's not blowing and you got the right see down in Florida, we don't have the right clothes for cold weather. But up north, like if you got the right clothes on and it's not super windy, negatives is cold, but it ain't. You know what I mean? Like you got a heavy coat on, you got good gloves on, whatever. It's not the end of the world. Like it's just cold. You know what I mean? It's kind of fun though. Your nose hairs freeze. That's how I know it's negative. When my nose hairs are frozen, I'm like, oh, it's cold out here. It's not that bad. But when the wind starts blowing, that's when it. But if it's just kind of cold, it's not that bad. Not that bad. Hey, spinning wheels, living that no fap life. I feel you. I feel you. Glad it's working for you. Yeah, I ain't trying to get down with that -30 wind chill, Drew. Nah, I'm good on that. I'm good on that. Ted, I love that. Ted said, I have moments I have no reason to feel the contentment and well being I'm feeling right now. I love that because I have moments like that. Um, just I call them like little snapshots in life where usually you're just living, but every now and then you stop and you're in the moment, but you're also observing the moment. And you can just be like, man, I don't even deserve the amazing life that's happening right now. I don't deserve this moment. I don't deserve this feeling. You know what I mean? Like this is, and that's when it's really gratitude. Like moments like that when I'm just like, bro, I'm so grateful to have these moments. So I feel you on that. I feel you on that. Yeah, James Wise, Chris McCandles is a great story. Like I said, that's the OG. Not taking anything away from him at all. Uh, I just, I just think we have to be honest with ourselves when it comes to quotes and sayings. So someone else might totally believe that, and that's fine. But y'all know me. If someone says something and I'll mention. I don't think it's wrong either way. But I just think in general, as a society, we're very good at using quotes, and just because it's an often quoted quote, I think we just believe it. You know, Omar getting rid of stuff, feeling great. Yes, yes. Deshaun, how did I get started with this lifestyle? It was 2014. I started watching a lot of content on tiny houses, and then I discovered minimalism, got rid of a ton of my possessions, and then I had that moment where I was like, well, what am I going to do now? You know what I mean? Because before it was you work, you buy stuff. You know what I mean? When it got down, when it wasn't totally that anymore, and I had money for once. You know what I mean? And when I got paid, I had a bunch of money. I always saved or whatever, but I could put some serious money in savings, and I just started being like, wait a second, I don't need to work like I'm working because you know what I mean? I'm not spending all my money. And for the first time, I was like, well, what do I want to do? I was just like, I don't have to keep this endless cycle of work. You know what I mean? I don't have a family. I broke up with my girlfriend then. Technically, I think we were together, but weren't at that time. But we were broke up. Um, it wasn't the same. But I'm like, I don't have to do this anymore. Whereas before, I always thought I had to do it because it was that get paid. But you know what I mean? And that's when I was like, man, I just kind of want to travel. I want to see some stuff. And through watching videos, I discovered someone was talking about working at national parks. And through doing research on that, I remember the channel name was The Real Wayne's World. This guy named Wayne. He was always doing quirky stuff like traveling on a motorcycle, living in vans, all this stuff. Yeah, I really love this channel. And through that, I discovered coolworks.com. And I discovered like being able to work seasonally, excuse me, at like national parks, ski resorts, like different ranches. And I started doing jobs like that. I subleased my apartment, sold even more stuff. And the summer of 2015, I went and started working at Yellowstone, and then I just did a few jobs like that. So, like that kind of got me into the lifestyle because at a seasonal job, most of them give you a place to stay, and like Yellowstone, they give you 3 meals a day. So I didn't need really any money. So I had like $1,200 in the bank or something like that. So I didn't really need any money. I didn't need a car, and so that allowed me to kind of get started traveling, and everything was kind of taken care of for me. I just had to get there. So that's kind of how I ease into the lifestyle. And since I love doing this, I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna put the Coolworks link in the chat if I can find it. Don't go to the. Thank you. Sorry. Where are we at? Okay. Put the Coolworks link in the chat. Check them out. Sorry to hear you feel like you're suffocating, but there are other options, Deshaun. There's other options. Drew, I don't sit around and like you said, do you think happiness is synonymous with contentment, or is happiness more of a short term, fleeting feeling while contentment is an overall state of mind? I don't really sit around debating the semantics, respectfully. Like when I'm happy, I'm happy. When I'm content, I'm content. Like I don't need to define them. And I think this is something we do. Something we do. Like we're big on defining stuff. I just experience happiness. I experience contentment. I don't know what they are. Like I don't know if they're different. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if one's short term, one's long. Like when I'm happy, I'm happy. When I'm content, I'm content. I leave it at that. You know, and it just seems to work out better that way. Because yeah, Caden, how you doing? Officially going back to Zion for the new season through Zantier. Nice. Not sure if I've already said it, but I'm so excited. It's life changing, folks. Listen to Tim. Hey, glad to hear that, and I appreciate the endorsement. Thank you. Thank you. That's a T-shirt. Listen to Tim. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. Have fun out there, Zion. National Park. Speaking of national parks, yeah, James. I wish more cities were walkable. Yeah, yeah. That is one thing. I wish more cities were walkable, and I wish more American cities had good public transportation. But at least there's some. But yeah, at least there's some. But yeah, I wish that was something that we aimed for. Like I wish but that goes against our whole. They want you to have a car. That's why they demolished the public transportation system. A lot of people don't know this. That's why I try to bring it up whenever I can. And you can Google this. You can Google like the destruction of public transportation in America. And back in the day, I believe it was the 20s or the 30s, the rubber industry and the automobile industry bought up lots of public transportation companies in cities and then just like sold them off, sold them for parts, or just ran them into the ground. You can Google it. This ain't me because they wanted people to have to buy a car. The rubber companies for the tires and the automobile companies for the car. So they purposely ruined American public transportation. That's why we have, for a developed nation or whatever, first world country, that's why we have the worst public transportation and also like the least walkable urban areas typically. Because don't quote me on being the least walkable. I don't know that for a fact, but I'm pretty sure it's true. But I'm pretty sure it's true. It's because they purposely, going on like 100 years ago, destroyed our public transportation. It's crazy. When I found that out, I was like, man, this is crazy. This is crazy. Yeah, and stuff like the water power engine. A lot of these inventions. That's why when people are like, "Oh, I don't know about this new, this new green stuff," that I'm like, "Bro, they had this stuff 100 years ago." It wasn't that like gasoline was the only way we could power cars. It was like we've decided that we're just going to do gasoline powered cars. Other people's coming up with, like, think about it. When the engine was new, everybody's going to be trying to come up with their own type of engine. We just look at it like, oh, it's got to be gas, you know. But no, back in 1900, when the Model T was all that was first happening, it was a race to see, you know, oh, they came up with a gas engine. Let's come up with this engine. Let's try this. Like, it was wide open, but they shut all those down. So it's like they've been knowing how to have like different type of engines 100 years ago. They just didn't want to do it. That's when people are like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, bro, this isn't new. I didn't know that for years until I saw a video or something, looked into it. I'm like, oh snap, that does make sense. That does make sense. When the engine first was invented, why wouldn't everybody be trying to invent a different engine that ran on something easier to get? That's what you normally would do. This oil stuff is hard to get to. Let's make an engine, that runs on water or corn oil or something easy, something renewable. They shut all that stuff down. They don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about that. Tell you, once you start to see some of this stuff, you really people like, Tim, why are you always talking about the programming? Who is this they you're always talking about? Why are you act like I'm like, okay. Once you read some of this stuff, once you research some of this stuff, you realize like, oh, like a lot of this is by design. We live the lives we live now in the society we live now, and a lot of the stuff that like is negative, it was by design. You think in a country like America, we couldn't have an amazing public transportation system where you could get from one side of the country to the other conveniently on something other than Greyhound? We can't figure that out in the States, but every other country has. Come on, it's stuff by design, man. Like, you gotta think, you gotta be smarter than that. Like, all, this, all this stuff is wrong. A lot of it they want it to be wrong. What up, Hanzo? Angel said the whole interstate system is interesting to learn about as well. I haven't learned. I need to look into that. I need to look into that. I never really learned a lot about the interstate system. Now I'm curious. I'm like, what they do with the interstate? Even not knowing about it, I could probably make some guesses about it. I know the interstate killed Route 66. I saw a documentary on that. Yeah, crocodile tears. I mean, the reason they keep us so divided is so we don't all put our foot down together. We'll put our foot down in a million different places, but we're so divided by religion, by race, by politics that it's hard for us to come together on anything. You'll notice when we come together on stuff, it eventually changes. Something will get so far out of whack that people are like, no, we can't do this no more. Good example of that I like to always use is like the civil rights movement. People were just like, bro, like this is just too crazy. All over the world, they're showing pictures of how we're treating people, our own citizens. Like, bro, like, this is even people who didn't really care started to care. Like, oh, this is too crazy. People got together, changed. That's what I'm always saying. Government doesn't change nothing until like the people make them change it. When the outcry gets too great from the people, then they're like, all right, we got to do something. But other than that, they don't do nothing. Government just the status quo. All you want to do if you are a political leader, all you want to do when you hand the reins over, when you're forced to hand the reins over, you want it to look just like it looked when you came in office. Because then you don't have to do nothing. Like, if you try to do something as a politician, the other side's going to use it against you. You want to do as little as possible. Because it keeps getting you reelected. Because you can keep saying, "Oh, I'm gonna fix taxes." If you fix taxes, what are you going to talk about next election? You want to do as little as possible. That way, there's nothing for them to say about you. except that you didn't do anything, and that's fine. I tried, they wouldn't let me. But if you do something, they're gonna use it against you, even if it was good. Oh, blah blah blah. You know what I mean? They got proof. You just don't want to do nothing. That's why politicians don't do nothing. I keep telling y'all. Victoria Sage, thank you, thank you, thank you. Super Chat Squad, I appreciate the love. Fist bump, boom, boom. Thank you. Super Chat Squad in the building. I appreciate all the support. Thank you. Thank you, Victoria. Yeah, Jacob. We more distracted about the cars instead of advocating for walkable communities. I agree. I agree. No, I hadn't heard that, Bella. The government want to extend working age to 70. I hadn't heard that. That would not surprise me. That would not surprise me. Um, which I think with each passing generation, it's going to matter less and less because fewer and fewer people are ever going to retire. So, telling you, once I realized that about politics was already getting scummy to me, but once I realized that it's not in the politician's best interest to actually do anything, I was like, yeah, I'm definitely not voting. Not saying don't vote. If you feel like you should vote, please go vote. But I was just like, yeah, this is kind of a game. Like the only time they do anything is when they have to do something. Like they'll do something if their numbers are plummeting. You know what I mean? If their numbers are really going down, suddenly they catch a bad guy or they solve they solve some problem. You know what I mean? But they don't be trying to do nothing. They don't be trying to do nothing. Think about it. When was the last time a politician did something? Oh, the chat's getting quiet. People don't want to talk about politics. Flat Earth victory. You think the Earth is flat? Hey, I always say this: flat Earth victory. Whether or not the Earth is round or flat, I still got to pay these bills. You know what I mean? So that's why that's not an arena I choose to you know fight in because I don't care. Like, what does it matter? You know what I mean? I respect if that's your thing. I'm not coming at you. But the reason why I never argue about that is because no matter what if the I don't know. It could be an octagon. It could be a rectangle, a triangle. I don't know. I don't know. And it doesn't really matter to me. So hey, if you think it's flat, cool, it's flat. I don't care. Yeah, bargain bear. I figured they'd probably be trying to extend the age because we want as much Social Security. But like I said, it's going to be a mute point soon enough. Because here's the thing: when the money runs out, it runs out. So, and most people, Social Security is probably not going to be enough for most people. So people can keep working anyway. So I don't know. Patrick, I don't know if that's necessarily true. Says one of the superpowers of minimalist is being able to live on less than 36K a year. Maybe certain minimalists. Maybe certain minimalists say that. Um, I personally don't subscribe to that line of thought. I mean, there's millionaires who are minimalist. So it's not about the amount of money you make. I think it's about how you spend it. So once again, for me, there's no rules to minimalism, and there's no metrics you need to shoot for unless you decide you want to shoot for 'em. That's why I'm always saying I'm too suitcase Timmy, but I'm not out here like, man, if you got more than two suitcase, you're not whatever. Do what you do. So yeah, I don't think for me and the minimalism I talk about, it ain't got nothing to do with a dollar amount. Live on what you live on. If you can live under 36K, cool. But you know what I mean? I don't think you have to. Oh, I spent $45,000 this year. Oh, I'm a bad person. Just make person. Hey, Jonah, appreciate the kind words. Glad you enjoyed the videos. Gregory said, "All I know is I live in Saskatchewan and it's flat. The Earth is bigger than I'll ever need to know." Exactly. James, my thoughts on universal basic income. Now, the people who follow the channel right now are like, oh, here he goes. I don't think it'll work personally. Yes, I know they've tried it out in studies and it worked, but that's because they only gave a small part of the population more money. If you give everybody more money, prices will go up to reflect that more money. So I don't think it'll work. Not to mention, if UBI worked, why hasn't anyone done it before? Like on a big scale. Don't you think every single political leader, monarch, whatever, if they knew that they could just give people money and it would be the best thing ever, why wouldn't they have done that? You'd never get dethroned. You'd never get kicked out of office. I just give people free money. It solved all our problems. No one throughout history has thought of this. Why isn't it the norm by now? We just thought of it in 2024 or 2020 when they start talking about it. Why has no one done it before? They can give money for a short period of time and it works. But to over a long period of time, give everybody more money. It's bro, we're seeing the effects of when they gave us all money in the pandemic. And that was not even that long. So how if we're just gonna from now on give people $2,500 a month? How is that gonna work? That's what I'm saying. And I could be wrong. Once again, I'll say I could be wrong. This is just my opinion. They could start giving out money and it solves everything. I just don't see how that'll work. Yeah, exactly. Like Zimro said, landlords will jack up. They're already jacking up rent. So if they find out that y'all getting an extra 1,500 a month, oh yeah, your rent's mysteriously going up $700. Yeah, I'm familiar with FDR's federal jobs program. Yeah, yeah. And now that's different. If you're paying people to work and do things that actually need to be done, that's totally different. That's totally different. But if you're just giving people money, like, how is that sustainable? Like, Liam, when it comes to overcoming societal expectations, it goes back to the more I kind of do the things that I've identified for myself that I want to do in life, and I see the joy and the happiness I get from that, the less I kind of care what other people think because I'm getting happiness over here. So when I thought that like society's expectations were like real for me, then I really cared. But like when I'm over here doing different stuff and like it's not and I'm it's working out for me, I don't care as much what they got to say. You know what I mean? It's just like, well, I don't, what I mean, I'm good. So like why do I and I know it's hard. I know it's hard. Um and I know sometimes we're not meeting up to societal expectations and maybe we aren't doing some other stuff. You know what I mean? For that was me for the longest, and that which is why I ended up doing other stuff because for the longest I was trying to live and follow society's blueprint, and I wasn't living up to it. It wasn't working out, and it's hard to be like, man, I'm working this hard, and I just don't have all the stuff people say I should have. I'm not doing all the stuff that someone my age or other people said I should be doing, and that kind of led me to, well, I'm just gonna start doing what makes me happy because I can't win anyway. And then fast forward, it's like, oh, this was what I should have been doing anyway. And it is hard when the people around you whose opinions you've been brought up to care about, you know, maybe look down on you because you don't have certain things. But I think it sooner or later we have to realize and understand that like what's really important is our opinion of ourselves and a few people that we decided that we care about their opinions. And I just think that like living our own life helps us get to that sooner rather than later. I think eventually we all get there. Like you see older people, they don't care what nobody thinks. With age, I think eventually just you start to care less and less. Because you get more secure with who you are as you get older, I think. Or a lot of people do. So as people get older, they just stop caring what people think. So I think we all get there, but I think the more like, especially when we're younger, that we can kind of go after the life we really want and reap the rewards and the benefits, the less we care. Because like what who are you? Like you know what I mean? Like if doing what I'm doing is making me happy, why do I care what you want me to do? You know? What up, Lady P? Jonah, blessed to have not been depressed. Last time I was depressed, well, the big depressive episode I had was my late teens, early 20s. And it took a while, but we got through that. So I haven't had a bad depressive episode since then. No. So I feel very blessed and grateful for that because it was a rough time. So yeah. And I watch my mental state because I know how dark it can get. Um, I was Baker acted several times for trying to, just I was trying to get up out of here. We'll say that. So I know how dark you can get. So I'm very protective of my mental state, and like that's why you'll see me try to be in nature a lot, and I mean, just being, interacting with friends and family, just all the things that keep me mentally healthy. I'm big on that because I don't want to ever go back. That's a good point, James. Give everyone a chicken. 75% will eat the chicken. 20% will raise the chicken and survive on the eggs only. 5% only 5% will learn to work with others to grow more chickens. Probably. I agree with that. John, checking in. Super Chat Squad. Thank you, John. Thank you. That's love. It's a facts, Timmy. Guys be hating on me when I run game on some cute cashiers. I couldn't. It always comes back to that. It always comes back to that. You know what I mean? Hey, do you? And they probably just like low key jealous because like they was wanting to holla and you know, as someone who struggles with just walking up and like spitting game, we be back there hating. let let there be a cute girl and the dude just walks up like, hey, how you doing? Oh, you back there hating, jealous. Like, look at this dude. He ain't even. Don't let him like get somewhere where then you really hate him. Man, this dude. I'm joking about me actually being a hater, but you know what I'm saying. Um, sometimes we can be honest. Sometimes we didn't hate on somebody just instinctively, and then we got to check ourselves. Hey, don't be a hater, bro. Like, come on now. Like, stop. This ain't you. You know what I mean? We've all done it. We've all just like instinctively hate on somebody because we jealous. We've been there. It's just me. Okay. Um, we all been there. Had to check ourselves. Like, bro, that was hate. That was hating, bro. Like, you got to stop that. I've been there. Hey, shout out to you, John. Do your thing. Do your thing. Give a man a chicken he eats for a day. Give a man a Popeyes franchise he eats for a lifetime. Okay. All right. We're coming with some new sayings. I like it. T Black, how you doing? Yeah, Wade, you see somebody doing something you've been plotting trying to do, you be so mad. Man, this dude ain't even why look at him. Look at it. You know what I mean? It's just that happens human. We can be honest about like human nature. Now, we hopefully, I know for me, that's what I'm like, Tim, you need to do a little growing. I personally don't feel like I have character flaws because that's negative. I have character traits I want to change or areas where I want to grow. So I'll be like, hey, that's an area. Like I said, I'm working very hard to not be down on myself because I think we're taught to be down on ourselves. We all think we're scum, we're horrible people. No, we're just humans. All this is human stuff. But if you can teach people and program people to believe they're horrible people, A, they're always going to be looking to someone else for answers. And typically those answers are going to cost money. And B, they'll be willing to buy your products that make themselves better. So I'm not falling for that trap no more. So I am human and I have human traits, some of which I've decided I want to improve. So I'm always like, hey, Tim, it's okay that you was hating on that dude. But because that's just something humans do. But that's not something we want to do. I talk to myself like there's two or three of us. That's not something we want to do no more, Tim. So while it's okay, you don't have to be down on yourself for hating on that man for no reason or for not a good reason because he was winning. Um, Jealousy is a human trait, but we don't want to be jealous. So let's work on the jealousy. Instead of being like the old me would have been, Tim, that's crazy. Why you gonna be jealous? That's horrible. Blah, blah." No, bro, give yourself grace. Everybody does it. You do it less now than you used to. A year from now, maybe we'll do it even less. This whole idea that we're all horrible people and we're all broken and can you be broken in life? Yes. Are we all broken? I don't think so. But like we can give ourselves grace. It's okay. You made a mistake. You behaved in a manner you don't want to behave in. The fact that you feel some type of way about it is good. You know, a lot of times we'll feel bad about something we did that 5 years ago we would have done and not feel bad about it. So instead of being like, oh snap, I am growing because now it bothers me. 5 years ago I'd do that every day. It never bothered me. Now I did it once a year and it bothered me. And we will be like, oh, I'm such a horrible person. I'm still doing both. Like, no, look at the transition. Now it bothers you. You rarely do it. You're winning. You're up. Come on. We behave like humans and then beat ourselves up for being human. But that's all we got. But once again, I think it is the programming. If you think something's wrong with you, you're always going to be looking for something outside of you typically to fix you. And that costs money. And there will always be an endless amount of people to step up with a course or a pill or something to fix you. And every year there's a new generation of broken people born that you can sell your wares to. Sorry, that's a little rant. That's one of my soapboxes. That's one of my soapboxes I like to stand up on. You know, I just see it I just see people, and it'll be like good people, decent people, and they'll be so down on themselves. And I'm like, sis, you're doing great. I knew you back when. You know what I mean? Like, you're doing great. You're never going to be perfect because there is no such thing as perfection. Humans, we came up with the concept of perfection. It does not exist anywhere in nature. We came up with it, and then we're mad at ourselves because we can't achieve it. It's not real. It's a pipe dream. It's like, bro, like we can't go around expecting perfection. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. I mean, I wouldn't say we think I wouldn't say nature is perfect because if you were to take I'll say this, if you were to take our human brain and put it in anything in nature, we would have the same issues with it. That's what I'm saying. If you were to take our human brain away from humans, then humans would be perfect. Just like on the outside looking in, you could look at nature and be like, it's perfect. But if you were to put the human mind into anything in nature, it would be the same thing. If you were to become a river, you would have issues with the way you flowed. If you were to become a mountain, you would have issues with the way, it's something. It's the same thing. Our human mind, like there's no like perfect, like no, everything has its stuff. You know what I mean? As humans, we just have our stuff, but we want to just be like not have like you can't like how can you not like humans do human stuff? By definition, a human will behave like a human. There hasn't been a human who didn't. So like this concept of perfection is crazy. Like there is no such thing as perfection. Things do what they do. That's my point. Things do what they do. Nature does what it does. It's not perfect. It just does what it does. We came up with the concept of perfection. Hey, Ross Travels. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I see you with the Australian money, bro. I see you. I see you. Ross Travels. Hey, thank you, thank you, thank you. Super Chat Squad International. My boy out there doing his thing. I'm so proud of you, man. My boy out there doing his thing. So Tim back with a live stream. I hope all is well and you're enjoying your travels. I'm so glad you're still making videos and still being inspiration. Keep being you, man. Hey, I definitely will. Definitely will. And I appreciate you still tuning in, still showing love, man. We hey, this is what we do. So I'm gonna keep doing what I do. I know you're gonna keep doing what you do. Always glad to see your travel. So yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Me and Isaiah worked together back in the day. So yeah. Or we, did we ever work? Wait a second. Just for the memory gets hazy. Did we ever work together? No, we didn't work together. Did we? So you start getting older. You start putting. I put all my Big Sky stuff together. I met Isaiah at Big Sky, and I know he worked there, so I'm putting it all together like we worked together. But now I'm like, wait a second. Maybe we didn't work together. It was registered in my mind like we worked together. Sorry about that. Tell you, man. You start getting older, and like you start doing stuff. Then when you look back, sometimes it get a little. You be like, wait a second. That was that, and that was that. Okay, I don't need to have a mind breakdown on air. Um, but yeah, thank you so much, Isaiah. Oh boy, we're gonna have to remove that one real quick. Facts. I've always said that, Jacob. It's funny how we believe we're the most superior intelligent creatures when like you could make a case that like cats are more intelligent. Cats might think they're more intelligent. You know what I mean? Any creature or any whatever could think it's the superior, most intelligent creature, and the world revolves around it. Cats could be like, obviously, we're more intelligent than humans because they take care of us. We don't take care of humans, they take care of us. So obviously, we're superior because we make them get our food, get our water, bathe us. Obviously, we're superior. It's all about perspective. Everything think it's the center of the universe. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Isaiah, breaking that down. Because I remember, like, wait a second, we didn't actually work together. We met. We went down to the coffee. Yeah. Went to the coffee shop. Went to the coffee shop, and I think I saw you one time leaving the Holiday Inn. I think it was. You were going to like a game or something. Yeah, I think you were because or there was a game that day. I feel like it was. Yeah, I feel like there was a game that day or something because you were in all your regalia. Yeah, okay, got you. Yeah. Yeah, okay. But we both work at Big Sky, yes. So yeah, I know Isaiah in real life. See, Ashley, your puppy thinks he's superior. See, I'm telling you. If you just think about it. If you were to look at the world through the lens of other beings, like other animals and stuff, there could be a good case for them thinking that, for example, the fish are like, of course we're better than humans. They can't even stay in the water all the time. You know what I mean? A fish looks at a human, like, yeah, they come in the water for about 30 minutes. They got to get out. They're horrid. Like, ugh. To a fish, where water is everything, you're obviously superior if you stay in the water longer. The birds, these humans can't even fly on their own. You know what I mean? See, like, it's just, we're just humans. We just do human stuff, you know, man. Had an interview with Rush Creek Lodge in Yosemite today. Oh, nice, HRH. Nice, nice, nice. How'd it go? Says Trump too. He says some dogs walk around like it pays rent. Facts. Hey, John said, Tim, you get the receipt. I donated to you and a customer gave me $5 abundant. Hey, I'm telling you, man. Hashtag abundance. Hey. Johnny said, Tim, I'm a big fan of yours. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. He also helped me start my own YouTube channel, another channel a couple years ago. Hey, I'm love when I can pass the YouTube bug on to somebody. I think it's an amazing, you know, outlet to, make content, meet new people. So that's awesome, Johnny. Glad to hear that. Thank you. What animal would I want to come back as in a second life? I think I'd like to be a river. Animal or thing. I think I'd like to be a river. That seems like it'd be cool. Or a drop in the river. I don't know. Something like a, yeah, river. Am I familiar with consciousness research? I don't think so. Not really. Oh, I see you, Angela. Angela's still sniping. Angela's still sniping. Mm-hmm. 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 Got him. Victoria thinks cats are smarter than us. They might be. They might be. Like, I mean, not to mention there's so many different forms of intelligence. Like, you probably can't scale it. You know what I mean? Like, there's no, what scale would you measure it on? Like, the mountain. Like, how would you determine if a mountain is smarter than us? Rico, how you doing? You know what I mean? Like, what? How would you? You know what I mean? Like, so. And just like, pew, pew. Got him. People avoided to, it's if you want to share an opinion, cool. But like the proselytizing and the, you know, I don't know. I'm like, sometimes people comment on like, what's your point? You just come in and say, "Ugh," like what? Okay, yeah, all right. Yeah, I don't understand why people are negative. But I mean, I don't understand it, but I get it. Um, I think some people are just negative people. Like and I'm not saying that as a diss. I think that if you haven't had a lot of positivity in your life, it's very easy in this world to become a negative person. And I think, some people just haven't embraced positivity or even seen, you know what I mean? Know that it's an option, you know? So like I get it. I don't understand it, but I get it, if that makes any sense. Like I'm like, why would anybody I'm saying like why would I do that? But like I get why people do it, you know. It annoys me. They get blocked with love. But they get by Angela with love. But you know what I mean? Like I get it. Like some people, just you know, negative people are post negative stuff. Like I just want everybody to realize there's a different option, you know? Yeah, and like flat earth victory. I love I we can have different opinions on things, but if we're positive about it and we just express our opinion, we can have discussions, and that's what a lot of people do. Say, hey, what do you think about this? Or I think this. Cool. Some people feel the need to be negative about it and down people if they don't agree. It's just weird. Hey, Lady P, glad to hear we can help you during the dark times. And glad to hear you're still coming through. So that's awesome. That is awesome. So glad to hear that. Exactly, bargain bear. With age comes wisdom, and the mountains have been there. The mountains, like I will tell you a story. Speaking of Big Sky, uh, beautiful place in Montana, very special place. I enjoyed my time working there immensely. But I remember it was 2020, right? I think when things start getting weird. Um, and I was on the bus. That's right. I bought cars in 2020. I didn't have a car then, so I was on the bus, and there was a bus from Big Sky to Bozeman, Montana, where I lived. It's about a 2-hour ride with all the stops. But the first part of it, Big Sky's at like on the mountain. So the first part of the bus ride, you're coming down the mountain, and it's a beautiful ride down the mountain. You got ski resorts and $1 million condos and golf and all these little fancy villages. You know what I mean? It's not like what you expect if you go to like a ski vacation. Um, but there's mountains. You're coming down the mountain, but there's mountains all around. And so like all of us at the time, super worried about the pandemic and what was starting to happen. Well, we weren't calling it the pandemic at the time. It was just like what's happening. But as the bus was coming, all this is on my mind. As the bus is going down the hill, down the mountain, I was just looking at the mountains around, and I was like, you know what? To us humans, this seems like the worst thing ever. In this moment, for us humans, this is the worst thing ever. But I'm like, these mountains have seen this similar situations and all this other stuff humans have gone through. These mountains have seen it all. They're not moved by it. They're not affected by it. This is just some human stuff happening. It don't mean nothing to them. To us, the world was whatever. To them, it was just another day. You know what I mean? And that kind of took me out of looking at it solely from a human standpoint and just broaden my horizons. And I'm always like, the tighter you focus in on something, like the worse it gets. Whenever you can pull back and look at stuff from like a earthly or like a universal view, it's not that big a deal. I'm like, yeah, there's this thing going around that's affecting humans apparently, and like, but in the grand scheme of things, it was just a regular day, and that really helped me. Like, that's why I always remember it because that just allowed me to like calm down. Because I was just like, like it's gonna do what it's gonna do, but like it's not the end of the world. Oh, T Black, yeah, I think some people don't realize when they first come in like how positive we are. I think people are used to the internet, and so most anywhere else you go, people just come in and spew all types of negativity. So I think some people just naturally assume, oh, it'll be the same here, but it's not. But I just don't think they know no better. Hey, what up, Jan? How you doing? How you doing? Angela's the Timothy Ward Secret Service. Yeah, Angela be on it, man. Angela be on it. Oh, she said CIA. Oh, oh, oh. We don't talk about the company. Um, we don't talk about the company. Sheba, thank you. Said I'm happy. You're happy and own nothing. I said I own almost nothing. Almost nothing. I do have gratitude gorilla. But I'm happy, you're happy that I'm happy. See how the happiness just continues? Mm-hmm. 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 Billy, how you doing? Facts, yo. In 100 years, no one's gonna care. Ain't gonna mean a thing in 100 years. You know. Patrick Rodriguez checking in. Caribbean Bandit said, I haven't owned a car in a year and a half. I'm also a minimalist. I love downsizing, but I still own a few sports cars. Hey, exactly. That's always said. My version of minimalism is living with what like you need, and then the little extra stuff that means something to you. You like sports cards, you got some sports cards. You know, as opposed to people who just live with all kind of craziness they don't even care about. And having less leaves you more room to buy the things you like and more money to do it. You know, getting some rain out there in LA, Suho. Okay, okay. It's relaxing at night. I see it. I see it. Heather said, "Come hang out in Wichita, Kansas." Maybe one day. What's there to do in Wichita? What's the Airbnb prices like in Wichita? That's the big question. What the Airbnbs like? Hey, 808. Start watching the videos on letting go of the past. Kept you going. Yes, glad to hear that. Glad to hear that. Day one supporter Sheba. Oh, hey, I appreciate you sticking around. See, that's how you know you're doing something right. People stay around. Of course, I can't see the numbers of. Actually, I can go on my YouTube studio and see the numbers of people who left, but I decided not to. Not to. CB went 20 years without a car in Tokyo. Okay, okay. Betterfly says, "What do you do if you have to do something that compromises your morals, but you have to do it because you have no choice?" I would like. I'm trying to envision a scenario where you have no choice. I mean, like, and maybe there is that scenario, but like, I'm trying to envision a scenario where I have no choice but to do something that compromises my morals. I feel like most situations you have a choice. You may not like the outcome, but I feel like you have a choice. I could be wrong, but yeah, I don't know. I will say this: I try not to do anything that compromises my moral code. I could definitely envision some situations where it would be very hard not to, or the I can envision the possibility of there being some serious repercussions if I didn't do said thing. And I would like to think I would still follow my moral code, but I'll be the first to admit I couldn't say that until I was in the situation. I'm not one of those people. Oh, I would never. No, I pride myself on sticking to my moral code, but I know how life is, and even though I think I would still have a choice, I can envision scenarios where it would be very hard to stick to it. I'd like to think I would, but who knows? And in that situation, say there was a situation where I gave in to the fear or whatever, I would have to remind myself that I am human and nobody's perfect. And while we hope we never do that again, we can't beat ourselves up forever, you know? And it's one of those situations where you pay the price for the decisions you make. So I know if I go against my moral code, there's probably gonna be some karma that come with it. So no need to beat myself up because I'm gonna pay the price for it, because I don't think that was right, you know. Too cool. How you doing? Eco neighbor. People coming through. Too cool. He said, just turned 28. I feel so old and worrying about the future, like buying a house, securing a better job, etc. I'm scared. And that is very understandable. I have to legally, by law, tell you you're not old. Okay. I'm legally obligated as a middle aged man. Whenever someone in the 20s says they feel old, I have to say you're not old. That's why all of us do that. But I totally understand. Whatever age you're at, you feel old once you get past like 22 in this society. So I get it, but I'm legally obligated to tell you you're not. And 20 years from now, you'll look back and be like, Tim was right. I was super young back then. But, um, and I totally understand the fears about buying a house, securing a better job. I would look at it this way though. You've made it this far, and I imagine you're probably decently intelligent, hardworking person, and you've made it this far. The same work ethic, the same intelligence, all the qualities you have that you've used to make it this far, you'll use that to figure your future out. And like I think a lot of times, and once again, I get the fear, especially the world we live in, especially if you're watching the news and but we can't solve the future in the present. So I think the best we can do is realize that like you made it this far through all the ups and downs, through all the stuff you've been through, you made it to 28. So the same way you got from 18 to 28 is the same way you'll get from 28 to 38. And at the end of the day, that's really what it's about is making it. Womb to tomb. You just got to get from birth to death, womb to tomb. If along that journey you get to buy a house, you secure a better job, great. But if that's not in the cards for whatever reason, when you make it to 38, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like it's all about making it. And so while we can't always guarantee the fashion in which we make it, like just know that like the qualities, like I said, the qualities you have now that have allowed you to live, you know what I mean? Make it this far will help you make it in the future. Whatever that future looks like. Because we can't know. All we can do is do the best we can right now to, if we want to buy a house in the future, or if we're trying, work as hard as we can to try to get a better job. All we can do is try. We don't know what the future holds, but we can't allow ourselves. The problem is if we allow ourselves to get too wrapped up now, worrying about what we're going to do in the future, it's going to affect us now. And by extension, probably negatively affect our future. So, and I get it is that's normal. Let me also say you're normal for this. Very normal. But like if we can kind of let go of trying to like figure the future out now and just kind of be like, I'm doing the best I can. I want a house in the future. I'm making moves to try to get a house. If it works out, it does. If it doesn't, I'll live somewhere else. I'm trying to get a better job, but if it works out, cool. If it doesn't, I'm just doing right now what I can do. And that kind of lets some of that stress go. And then I think we make better decisions actually when we're less stressed to worry about the future. My main point though is you're very young. I'm joking. I was joking. I was joking. I was joking. And appreciate you being that open and honest. That's being that vulnerable. But you got this. You got 20 years from now, come back and tell us how it turned out. Oh, John, coming through with love. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Super Chat Squad. Thank you so much, John. Said I'm 36 and still in my prime. I'm a late bloomer. Hey, I feel you. John, I always say the same thing. I always say I'm like 10 years behind. Like the schedule. Like right now, I feel like I'm at like 34. I'm 44. But I feel like if you judge by what everybody else does, I feel like I'm at like 34. Nothing wrong with being a late bloomer. You ain't even got to bloom if you don't want to. You know? Gregory just started a new job, good benefits, great pay, thinking about quitting already. Hey, I get that. I get that. Hey, do what works. Yo said I'm 40. Cashier after your ID. Nice, nice. I think it's funny that like black people can say black don't crack, and Black people who look young pride ourselves on that, even though we know there's a lot of black people look their age. But a white person can't say like white don't crack. It's just funny to me how like the whole minority majority thing. So it's just funny that like as black folk we can big ourselves up on all kind of stuff. You're right, but like white people can't say it. If someone was to say that, if white person like white don't crack, we'd be like, you say oh man, let us we'd be like, look at us. Did you hear what she said? It's crazy to me. I'm sorry. Some of y'all won't find that funny. It's hilarious to me. Is it fair? No. But it's just sorry. I don't know why that's so funny. I'm playing the scenario out in my head. Anyway, Richard, you ready to bounce and disappear soon? Go for it. Yeah, Eco said 50 own three houses, have owned three houses, and I live in an RV. Life is good. Enjoy the beauty of nature and life. Exactly. Exactly. You know? And I can't say that the young people these days don't feel older, younger. You know what I mean? Like maybe even physically or like mentally. They might feel older at a younger age than we did, just because the world's a different place. They got stuff on their shoulders we didn't. You know what I mean? Even though they're still young, because they're probably gonna live to be 100, they might feel older soon. You know what I mean? I don't know. I got this. I think Masons. This is one of Gary V's intellectual properties. So, gratitude gorilla. I'm laughing at Angela's comment. She says, "A white woman, white birds in the sun, and they cracks." Ah. Yeah, I'm sure like white people got stuff that like works out better for them. This is a dangerous line to tread. Some people are not gonna like that. You know what I mean? But they can't say it. Um, like if I'm like black don't crack, you couldn't be like white got good credit. You know what I mean? Like, you can't. You can't say nothing. I was trying to make that rhyme. It didn't. But you know what I mean? You just can't. Yeah, yeah. You know what I firmly believe life is more stressful now. Because people who say life was more stressful back then, I think are just looking at it purely from a what's in front of your face standpoint. Like, yeah, you might had to fight off wildlife more back in the day. You know what I mean? And yeah, you might have died younger, but they just didn't have a lot of that stress, that mental stress we have. They ate better food, so they were healthier. They didn't have all the chemicals and stuff in their food, and they didn't have all the. We have so much mental stress that we don't even think about. All this mental stress, like someone could literally steal your entire life savings, and you never know it until you go to the bank and they're like, "You're broke." That couldn't happen before. You know what I mean? Like someone had to like physically find your stuff and steal. You know what I mean? Like it's just like little stuff. We're constantly worried someone's gonna get our bank password. Someone's gonna get this. Someone's gonna get that. I need to have this. What do I do? Like all this stuff we worry about and we think is normal. Our ancestors had no concept of. You know? Like it's just. I think life is way more stressful now. Patrick, yeah, just start acting 21 again. I don't know about you. I'm feeling 22. Okay. I'm not, but I just thought that was a good time to insert that song. Yeah, I think Gregory, in order to alleviate some of the physical difficulties, we've put on way more mental challenges now. Yeah, I like the way you put that. You know, it's just different. Like Sean wants to go back to the 90s. Going to, you mean like, I just think about our ancestors, thousands of years ago. Like, boy, life was, you built your own hut. You went out, you hunted and gathered, and then like you came home and chilled out with your family. And you did that every day of your life. Bruh, this stuff now, bro. And that's all you had to do. The societal expectation was, hey, you got to be able to hunt and gather and fish and make babies. Like this stuff now. You know what I mean? The pressure of seeing the financial success people around you are having and you not knowing if you can match that is crazy. You know? That's normal these days. It's not, oh, and some people are worried about like making it. But once you make it, okay, so you have to worry about even making it. But once you make it and you're comfortable, now you got to worry about, oh, I'm not doing it like Bob's doing it, or I'm not doing it like Deborah's doing it. And that never ends. These societal pressures to always like be leveling up and hustling and having what your peers have and blah blah blah, all it never ends. It's a constant mental strain until you just like stop caring. It's crazy. And you see it, our ancestors didn't have this. You know what I mean? So like they weren't constantly bombarded with these societal expectations. They weren't constantly bombarded with the pretty people. You know what I mean? Our ancestors maybe saw 20 other people in their life. You know what I mean? 50 even recently. The average person saw the 50 people that lived around them. And that was their whole view, other than like maybe someone they saw in a newspaper. But that was their whole view of the world and how it worked. And not saying that's good, but like you didn't judge yourself off anybody other than those 20 to 50 people. And most of the time they were just regular people like you. Now we judge ourselves off the thousands of people we interact with on the internet, the tens of thousands of people. And we're judging ourselves against people who are in way different money brackets, people who are, blessed with way different looks, all this stuff. Well, we're seeing this stuff every single day on a regular basis. And whether we realize it or not, a lot of times we are judging ourselves by what these people have, what these people are doing, how these people look. And it's all day, every day. Like that's crazy. And a lot of people, to Gregory's point, are lying. A lot of these people, you're seeing the best of these people, or you're seeing the side of them they want to show. But to us, it seems real. We're judging ourselves based on it. It's great. Like that's a mind screw, you know? It's crazy. Yeah, I think as humans, we've always tried to keep up with the Joneses a little bit, but now the Joneses never end. You know, before the Joneses were literally like the Joneses next door. And while it wasn't healthy, it was simpler because you and the Joneses were pretty similar. He had a good job, you got a good job. She had a good, you know what I mean? But like now the Joneses is anybody who pops up in your social media feed and is doing anything that you want to do. That's the Joneses. The Joneses are innumerable now. Like everybody's the Joneses now. Someone on the other side of the world who just happens to be the same age as you. Their life pops up in front of you on Instagram. You're like, man, I wish I had an infinity pool in my backyard. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Yeah, Drew. What that's we're the average person is aware of luxury brands now, and now suddenly it's not enough to like just have clothes or even the brand you like. You gotta wear Balenciaga or whatever the ones that are hot. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy, and that become when you see that it becomes the norm, and they've raised the norm. You know, so now it's not enough to just kind of have some decent brands if you like brands. Now it's like, oh, bro, you gotta have this. Everybody's wearing this, and it seems to you like everybody is. Everybody's driving this. It seems like they are because we see more people online than we see in real life, And so when that happens, your view of reality starts to be what's online. I just thought about that. I never thought about it before. We interact with more people online in real life. So even if everybody around you is driving Hyundais like you, if everybody you're interacting with online takes a picture in front of a Mercedes, even though half of them don't own it, you're like, dang, everybody got a Mercedes. I got to get me one. Not that there's anything wrong with the Mercedes or Hyundai, but you know what I mean? Like it just, that's something totally new in human history to be exposed to that many like influences from all over the world. And your mind is just like, I don't know what to do with all this information. But I'm gonna start with feeling like I'm a piece of crap. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah, we see more people online than in real life, a lot of us. Hey, country boy, thank you, thank you, thank you. Super chat squad, thank you. Said that elephant looks like me after Thanksgiving. Oh, this one? This one? This one? Tim, just turn around and point at it. Oh, that one? Okay. Yeah. Full. I got you. I got you. Appreciate the love. Thank you, country boy. Yeah, that's a fat elephant there. I'm putting my mouse over the elephant. Even then, I'm like Tim. They can't see where you're putting your mouse cursor. That's it. No more YouTube for me. This is gratitude gorilla. So it's supposed to be a gorilla. Yeah, I like the little spiky hair. I need to dust this thing. I like the little spiky hair. It's a very Gen Alpha gorilla. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I think on that note, I'm gonna jump off. Been going for like a little over 2.5 hours. Think that's good. This was a really awesome stream. I had a great time. You'll notice I have the glasses on today, glasses and Batman shirt. I feel very me, right? I'm very B right now. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Real quick, I definitely want to shout out Angela, our faithful moderator. Thank you so much for being a part of the community and moderating. Big shout out to the Super Chat squad. I appreciate the love, appreciate the abundance. Everybody who came through, showed love, commented, even the people we blocked, it was with love. Please come. Well, you can come on back. You can't comment, but you can come on back. The thumbs uppers, the lurkers, the usual suspects. I love each and every one of y'all. I'll talk to y'all soon.